There is a weight that sits in the middle of your chest when the room is full and everybody else is laughing. It grows heavier the more people there are, and in all these years, not one person has ever asked you about it. Chosen one, I want to begin by describing something you have never said out loud. There was a gathering not long ago, people you love, noise, food, familiar faces. You stood right in the middle of it, answering on time, smiling on time, and some quiet part of you watched the whole scene from a few feet behind your own body and thought, not one person in this room actually knows me. You did not invent that feeling, you did not imagine it. And here is what I need you to hear before anything else. That feeling is not evidence that something is wrong with you. It is evidence of something you are carrying, something most people will never see, never weigh, and never understand. There is a name written on what you carry, not the name people call you at work or around the table. A different name, written by a different hand. And before this message ends, I am going to tell you what that name is. When you hear it, a very old question inside you is going to close. So stay with me, because the name comes at the end for a reason. Let me tell you what will happen between now and then. First, you are going to understand why you feel like a stranger in rooms full of people who claim to know you, and why that was never a malfunction. The explanation is more precise than you expect, and once you see it, you will never read your own loneliness the same way again. Second, you are going to feel something shift in your body. The weight I named a moment ago, the one sitting in your chest right now, is going to change texture before we are done. Not because I will talk you out of it, but because you will finally learn what it actually is. And weight that is understood is carried differently than weight that is unexplained. And third, you will walk away with something to do. Not a vague inspiration, but a practical daily way to carry what you carry without burning yourself down to the wick, including a plan for your first 7 days. Understanding, feeling, practice. All three are coming. Now let me prove to you, right away, that I am not guessing about your life. You know that particular exhaustion that follows you home after being around people, not the tiredness of work, the other one. You can spend a whole evening with kind people, people who mean well, and come home feeling like you ran a marathon in shoes that do not fit. You have probably explained it to yourself as being too sensitive, or awkward, or somehow socially defective. You have wondered why everyone else seems to plug into a room so easily while you stand there converting yourself into a simpler person just to be readable. That conversion, chosen one, hold that word. That is where the secret lives. Because what if the exhaustion was never coming from the people? What if it was coming from the translation? There is a kind of person who walks into every room carrying something the room has no shelf for. And that person spends the whole evening doing 2 jobs at once, being present and hiding cargo. 2 jobs, 1 paycheck of energy. I am not going to unpack the whole mechanism yet, because you need to see all of its rooms in the right order, and we have only opened the front door. But even this much, I suspect, has already loosened something in your shoulders. You are not defective. You are loaded. There is a difference, and the difference changes everything. Before we go deeper, I want to ask you to do one small thing, and I ask it for a reason that has nothing to do with me. There is a sentence that carriers almost never get to say, because no one ever asks them the question that would let them say it. Today you get to say it unprompted. If some part of you already knows this message found you on purpose, go to the comments and write these 5 words. God knows what I carry. Write it exactly like that. Somewhere tonight, another person who feels invisible in every room will read your 5 words and realize they are not the only one. Your comment becomes their first evidence. God knows what I carry. 5 words. For some of you, that will be the first time you have ever admitted anywhere that you are carrying anything at all. Notice what happens in your chest when you type it. Now, let us talk about you. Not the general you, the audience you. The specific you, the one who rewinds certain moments at 2 in the morning and wonders why life feels like a play where everyone else got a script and you got a sealed envelope. I want to lay out 5 signs, not horoscope signs, not vague flattery that fits anyone with a heartbeat. 5 specific patterns that mark a particular kind of person, and I want you to count honestly how many of them are living in your house. Most people carry none of these. Some carry 1 or 2. If you carry 4 or 5, then this message is not content for you. It is correspondence. Here is the first sign. You feel most alone precisely where you are supposed to feel most connected. Family dinners, old friends, church, if you go. The loneliness of the carrier is not the loneliness of the empty room. It is the loneliness of the full room. Empty rooms actually feel like relief to you, and you have felt guilty about that relief for years. The second sign. People consistently bring you their heaviest things. Strangers tell you their secrets in checkout lines. Friends call you first when their world cracks open. You have been the unpaid counselor of every group you have ever belonged to. And yet, when your own world cracks, you scroll through every name in your phone and put it back in your pocket without calling anyone. The third sign. You sense things before they announce themselves. A friendship starts dying, and you feel it months before the first missed call. A workplace turns sour, and you feel it in the hallway before a single meeting confirms it. You have learned not to say these things out loud, because when you do, people look at you strangely, and then 6 months later, they live through exactly what you named. The fourth sign. Ordinary goals have never been enough for you, and this has embarrassed you. Everyone around you seems genuinely satisfied aiming at a comfortable life, and you have tried to want what they want, sincerely tried, and the wanting will not hold. Something in you keeps insisting there is an assignment with your name on it, even in seasons when your circumstances make that idea look ridiculous. And the fifth sign, the quietest one. You have a private interior world you have never fully shown to a single living soul. Thoughts, impressions, moments with God, so intimate that language bends under them. You have sometimes wondered whether keeping so much inside makes you dishonest. It does not. But we will get to what it actually makes you, and that revelation has a name you have never heard. Count them now. How many of those 5 live in you? If the number is 4 or 5, I need you to sit with the strangeness of that for a second. A stranger on the internet just read out the private architecture of your inner life, the parts you have never described to anyone. How is that possible? It is possible because carriers are not random. You are not a one-off accident of temperament. You belong to a category, a small one, and the category has features, the way a certain kind of vessel has features. Deep hull, reinforced frame, built for open water, which is exactly why it sits so awkwardly in a shallow harbor. And this brings us to the first door of the real mystery, because everything I just described, the full room loneliness, the magnet for the pain of others, the early sensing, the unkillable sense of assignment, the sealed interior world, all 5 of these are symptoms of one single underlying fact about you, not 5 separate quirks. One fact, wearing 5 costumes. Most people who feel what you feel spend their entire lives treating the costumes. They work on their social skills. They set boundaries. They journal the ache. Good things, all of them, but none of them touch the fact underneath. Tonight we are going after the fact itself. Before I open that door, I want to step aside for a moment, because there are words that do not belong to me. I have carried this message for a while now, and there is one part of it that has always felt less like something I wrote and more like something I was handed. Receive it as gently as it was given. My child, I watched you in that room. I watched you smile at the right moments and answer the easy questions. And I heard the sentence you said inside yourself, the one about being unknown. You were wrong about one thing only. You said no one in the room knew you. I was in the room. I have never once been unable to read you. What you carry, I packed with my own hands. Let those words land wherever they need to land. Some of you have waited decades to hear something like that, and no schedule of mine is more important than the moment you just had. Take a breath, then come with me, because now we open the first door, and behind it is the reason people cannot read you. Here is the symptom in its sharpest form. You have tried, sincerely and repeatedly, to be known. You have opened up to friends and watched their eyes glaze at the exact moment you reached the true part. You have started sentences about your inner life and abandoned them halfway, converting them mid-flight into something smaller, something the listener could nod at. You always land the plane in shallow water, and afterward you feel a very specific grief, not rejection, exactly. The people were kind, they tried. It is stranger than rejection. It is the grief of being translated and losing everything in the translation. You walk away from those conversations feeling less known than before you opened your mouth. So gradually, quietly, over years, you stopped opening your mouth. Now here is the story you have told yourself about why. You have said, I am bad at explaining myself. You have said, I am too intense, too deep, too much. You have said, maybe there is simply something in me that does not fit with people. Some social gear other people were born with that I am missing. That story feels humble. It is actually false, and it has cost you more than any lie you have ever believed, because you were never failing to transmit. They were failing to decode, and not through any cruelty of their own. Listen carefully now, because this is the mechanism, and it deserves a name. When a courier moves precious cargo across a border, the cargo travels with a manifest, a document listing everything inside, its weight, its origin, its destination. But there is a kind of shipment so valuable that the manifest itself is sealed, readable only by the sender and the intended receiver. Every checkpoint in between can weigh the container, can see that something heavy is passing through, but cannot open the list. I call what you have the sealed manifest. What you carry came with documentation, chosen one, but the documentation was sealed by the one who sent it, and it was never issued to the general public. The people around you are not refusing to read you. They were never given the key. A human being can only decode in another person what they carry some category for in themselves. A person who has never carried an assignment cannot recognize the weight of one. They have no shelf for it, so their mind files you under the nearest available label. Intense, distant, complicated, too sensitive. Those labels were never descriptions of you. They were confessions of the limits of the reader. A sealed document is not a rejected document. It is simply addressed to someone else. Now watch what this does to your history, because this is where it stops being an idea and starts being a healing. Every glazed eye was not proof you are unlovable. It was a checkpoint without a key. Every friendship that stayed shallow was not your failure to connect. It was a reader doing their honest best with a document they could not open. Nothing was wrong with the manifest. Nothing was ever wrong with the manifest. Run the tape of your life again with this one correction, and feel how many old wounds change shape. The childhood sense of being from somewhere else, the marriages and friendships where you were present but unfound, the family that loves you and has absolutely no idea who you are. You have been reading all of it as defect. It was clearance level. It was never defect. It was clearance level. And here is what you can do with this, starting tonight, because a revelation without a handle is just a mood. Stop submitting your manifest to readers who were never issued the key. That does not mean withdrawing from people. Love them, laugh with them, serve them. But take the deep document to the only reader who has the seal, every night if you can, and let the ache of being unread by people become the appointment where you are fully read by God. You will notice something within days of making that trade. The pressure goes out of your human interactions. You stop auditioning. You stop over-explaining. A person who has been fully read somewhere can be lightly known everywhere else and feel no starvation. The starvation was never for social skill. It was for one accurate reading, and one is available. That is the first door, and I want to mark this moment because something just happened that most people never experience. A pain you have carried since childhood just received its true name, and true names break spells. You are not unreadable because you are broken. You are unreadable because you are sealed, and sealed means precious, and precious means intended. If that lands in you the way I think it just did, there is a phrase I want you to plant in the comments right now. 4 words this time. I am the one, not as a boast, as an acknowledgement of an address. Mail has been arriving your whole life addressed to the one, and today you are finally signing for the package. I am the one. Write it and watch how your hands feel while you type it. And if this message is doing for you what I hope it is doing, take 1 second and tap the like on it. Not for me. That small signal is how a message like this travels to the next carrier, the one sitting tonight in a full room, 3 feet behind their own body, certain they are the only one. You know exactly how that feels. Send this out to find them. Now, I said the 5 signs were 5 costumes worn by one fact. The sealed manifest is the first half of that fact. Here is the question that opens the second half, and I warn you, it goes to a stranger place. If what you carry is sealed and precious and intended, then why does carrying it hurt so much? Because it does hurt. Let us not be spiritual about this too quickly. The aloneness is one thing, but there is also the sheer tiredness, the sense of hauling. Other people seem to move through their lives in a straight line while you feel like you are dragging something uphill through every ordinary week, and no one can tell you what it is or why your legs are always tired. If the cargo is from God, should it not be light? Is that not what we were promised somewhere? An easy yoke? A light burden? So either the promise is false, or you are carrying wrong, or, and stay very still here, something else has been added to your load that was never on the original manifest. Something with weight, but no name. Something the sender did not pack. That question has an answer, and the answer is stranger than a metaphor. There is something physical involved, something measurable, something researchers stumbled into decades ago while studying a completely different problem. I am not going to explain it yet, because you do not yet have the frame to hold it. But I promise you this, before this message is over, you will know exactly what was added to your load, who added it, and how it comes off. Let me give you just the edge of it now, because you have earned a glimpse. Years ago, in a laboratory on the west coast of America, a small team of researchers made a discovery about the human mind that eventually won the highest prize science can give. They were not studying loneliness. They were not studying calling or purpose or God. They were studying something structural, something about how the mind is wired. And buried in their findings was an accidental explanation for a very specific kind of suffering, a reason why certain people move through life feeling like they are operating at a fraction of themselves. A reason that has nothing to do with willpower, laziness, sin, or brokenness, and everything to do with something that gets quietly switched off in almost every human being before the age of 25. For most people, that switching off costs them creativity, clarity, a certain brightness they vaguely miss. But for a carrier, for someone hauling a sealed assignment through the world, the cost is catastrophically higher, for reasons you will understand completely in a little while. What was dimmed in them is the very instrument the carrying was designed to rest on. I will bring you back to that laboratory later and walk you through exactly what they found, because you deserve the whole picture, not a teaser. For now, hold this single sentence. Part of your heaviness is spiritual and has spiritual answers, and part of your heaviness is physical and was never your fault at all. Now let us go back to the tiredness, because I left a wound half-dressed. I told you the loneliness of the carrier comes from the sealed manifest. But the exhaustion, the bone-deep, unexplainable exhaustion, comes from somewhere else, and finding its source requires us to watch you at a party. Here you are, standing near the kitchen at some gathering. To everyone present, you are doing one thing, having a nice evening. But run the true accounting. You are tracking the emotional weather of every person in the room, because you cannot not track it. You are metering your words, filtering the deep water out of your sentences so nobody glazes over. You are managing your face. You are holding the awareness of your assignment, that low hum of destiny that never fully switches off, while pretending to care about a conversation about kitchen renovations. And you are doing all of this invisibly, without acknowledgement, without help, without a single witness. Then you drive home and wonder why you feel like you unloaded a truck. You have called this being drained by people. You have called yourself an introvert, or fragile, or antisocial, and made peace with the label. But the label is wrong. And because it is wrong, every remedy built on it has failed you. You have rested and stayed tired. You have taken breaks from people and come back just as heavy. Rest does not fix this kind of tired, and now I can finally tell you why. There is a law of the inner life that almost nobody teaches, and it is this: effort that is witnessed weighs half. Effort that is hidden weighs double. The soldier carrying a pack alongside comrades can march for miles. Give the same soldier the same pack alone, at night, off the map, with orders he cannot show anyone, and watch his knees start to buckle at half the distance. The pack did not change. The witness did. Psychologists have circled this truth from a dozen directions. Burdens shared are measurably lighter. Stress endured in secret does measurably more damage. The human frame was simply never engineered to carry significant weight without witness. And you, chosen one, have been carrying the most significant weight of your life in total secrecy for decades. So here is the name for the second mechanism: the double burn. Every day of your life, you have been paying twice, once to carry the assignment and once to conceal it. The carrying is the load God gave you. The concealment is a second parasite load that formed around the first, and the second one is heavier. You have been a courier paying out of pocket to keep the package invisible. This is why rest never fixed you. Sleep restores the body of a person who did one job. It cannot catch up with a person doing two jobs around the clock, one of them in secret. This is why vacations left you strangely unrestored, why quiet weekends helped less than they should. You brought the second job with you. You always bring the second job with you. It lives behind your face. Now rewrite the history again, because this changes another whole shelf of your past. All those years you called yourself weak for being tired. You were not weak. You were doing double duty. All the mornings you could barely start. All the seasons you watched simpler people outpace you and concluded something was wrong with your engine. Nothing was wrong with your engine. Your engine was hauling two loads and still moving. That is not weakness. Under any honest accounting, that is astonishing strength. I want you to feel the size of that correction. Somewhere in you is a ledger where you have recorded years of failure, and tonight, entire columns of it just moved to the other side of the book. The tiredness was testimony. It was never an indictment. Read it again the right way, and the same evidence that once convicted you now acquits you completely. So what do you do with the double burn? You cannot drop the first load. It is yours, sealed and assigned, and some deep part of you would never drop it anyway. But the second load, the concealment, was never assigned, and it comes off the moment the effort is witnessed. Not witnessed by everyone, witnessed by one. What is fully seen no longer needs to be carried as a secret, and a secret is the heaviest possible shape for a weight to take. So here is the practice, and it is almost embarrassingly simple. Once a day, for 1 honest hour or even 10 honest minutes, put the performance down in the presence of God, out loud if you can. Here is what I am actually carrying. Here is how heavy it actually is. Here is how tired I actually am. No editing, no translating, no brave face. In that window, you are a courier with exactly 1 load, and your frame gets to remember what 1 load feels like. Do that for a week, and you will notice the strangest thing. The people who used to drain you less, not because they changed, but because you stopped running the concealment engine at full power around them. You had the order of operations backward all along. You thought you had to fix the tiredness before you could face your calling. The truth is, you had to face the one who gave the calling and let the tiredness be seen, and seen tiredness begins to lift. There is a phrase for this moment too, and I would love to see it fill the comments under this message. 5 words, I carry this for him, because that is the reframe, is it not? You are not a victim of a mysterious weight. You are personnel. You are staff. What you carry has a destination and a sender, and couriers do not apologize for the size of what they were trusted with. I carry this for him. Post it and mean it. And now a question should be forming in you, the next door of the mystery. If the manifest is sealed and the burn is double, then why were you picked for this at all? Who looked at you, out of everyone, and decided you could hold it? Because you have seen the others, the bright, confident ones, the natural leaders, the people everyone assumed would be chosen for great things. And it was not them. It was you, the one nobody voted for. There is a reason it was you, and the reason has a history, and the history has names in it. 3,000 years ago, in a small town called Bethlehem, an old prophet named Samuel arrived at the house of a man named Jesse, carrying a horn of oil and a secret instruction from God. A king was to be anointed that day, not crowned in public, not announced to the nation, anointed quietly in a private ceremony, in a family courtyard, while the current king still sat on the throne knowing nothing about it. Jesse had 8 sons, and he presented 7 of them. And I want you to see this scene properly, because it is one of the most important scenes ever recorded for people like you. The first son, Eliab, walked in, and even Samuel, a seasoned prophet, a man who had heard the voice of God since childhood, looked at him and thought, surely this is the one, tall, commanding, obvious. And God said no. And then God said something to Samuel that I need you to receive, as if it were said about the room you live your life in. The Lord does not see as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 7 sons passed by. 7 no's. And then Samuel asked a question that changed history. Are these all the sons you have? And Jesse, the father, said, well, there is still the youngest, but he is out keeping the sheep. Sit with that sentence. The boy was so far off the list of candidates that his own father did not bother to call him in for the ceremony. When the prophet of God came to the house to anoint a king, somebody had to go get David, because it had not occurred to a single person in his family that he might be the point of the visit. His own household could not read him. The people who had raised him, fed him, watched him grow, were standing in the same courtyard as a sealed manifest and could not open it. They saw a sheep boy. Heaven saw a king. And both of those readings existed at the same time, about the same person, on the same afternoon. Which reading was true? The question is not rhetorical. The answer determined the next 1,000 years. They brought him in from the field, and God said to Samuel, "Rise and anoint him. This is the one. This is the one." Hear those words, with your own address on them. The oil ran down the head of a teenager whose own family had left him off the list, and the record says, "The Spirit of God rushed upon David from that day forward." And then, here is the part almost everyone misses. Then, everyone went back to normal. There was no coronation, no announcement. Saul stayed king, the brothers went back to the army, and David, freshly anointed the future king of the nation, walked back out to the sheep. For years afterward, the most important fact about that young man was a fact almost nobody knew. He carried a kingship nobody could see, through pastures and errands and the contempt of his brothers, with oil in his hair and sheep dung on his sandals. That gap, chosen one, between the oil and the throne, between the moment God marks you and the moment the world finds out, that gap has a name in your life. You are living in it right now. And most carriers misread that gap so badly that it nearly breaks them. So let us run it through honestly. Here is the symptom. You have watched less devoted people promoted past you. You have watched shallower voices get the microphone, colder hearts get the influence, and you have stood at the back of your own life like David in the field, wondering if you were forgotten. And on the worst nights you have concluded that the sense of calling you carry must have been imagination, because surely, if God had really chosen you, something would have happened by now. You have explained the delay as disqualification. Somewhere along the way, you decided the silence meant the answer was no, that you had been passed over the way your own family passes you over, that whatever you once felt in prayer was youthful fantasy. That explanation feels like realism. It is not realism. It is a misreading of how God has always done this. Because here is the hidden mechanism, and it deserves its name. The quiet commissioning. God anoints in private long before he announces in public, on purpose, every time, without exception, that I can find. David in a courtyard, Joseph dreaming in obscurity, a teenage girl in Nazareth visited by an angel in a room with no witnesses. The pattern is so consistent it must be design. The commissioning is quiet because the interval is the training. Think about what the gap actually did for David. In the field, unwatched, he learned the sling that would fell a giant. He learned the harp that would soothe a king. He learned to defend helpless things from lions and bears when nobody was keeping score. Every skill his visible destiny would require was built in his invisible years. If the oil had come with an instant throne, the throne would have crushed him. Now recontextualize your own delay. The years you read as rejection were not the absence of the assignment. They were the assignment, phase 1. The obscurity was not God forgetting your address. Heaven has never once lost a package. The hiddenness was load-bearing. You were not left off the list. You were held back from the courtyard because your ceremony has a different date, and the sheep field was the curriculum. So, what do you do inside the quiet commissioning? You do what David did. You tend what is in front of you as if it were the kingdom, because it is the rehearsal for the kingdom. You practice your sling on private lions. You refuse to shortcut the gap by grabbing at thrones early, and you refuse to curse the gap as abandonment. Anointed people keep tending sheep with oil in their hair until the day somebody comes running to the field saying the prophet is asking for you. If that story put language on years of your life, here is the phrase for this hour. 4 words, anointed in the quiet. Put it in the comments, not as poetry, but as a filing of record. Somewhere in your past, in some ordinary room, on some afternoon you may not even remember, oil touched you. The world was not notified. You barely believed it yourself. File the record anyway. Anointed in the quiet. Now, there is one more thread hanging off the story of Samuel, and it leads directly to the next chamber of this mystery. God said, "Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." We have been using my language, sealed manifests and couriers, but the old book said it 3,000 years earlier and said it better. There is a layer of you that only one reader can access. Your family stood in the courtyard and could not see a king. But notice what that means when you flip it around, because we are about to flip it around. If people can stand next to greatness and not see it, then the fact that nobody sees anything special in you is not evidence about you at all. It is simply what greatness in the gap always looks like from the outside. Unremarkable, overlooked, out with the sheep. The absence of human recognition tells you exactly nothing about what heaven wrote on your file. And yet somebody, somewhere, has to be able to confirm the file exists. Or all of this is just comfort talk. So the next question is the hinge of everything. Is there anyone who reads sealed things? And can you get a reading? There was a man who got exactly that, a direct reading, in the strangest possible circumstances, while hiding at the bottom of a hole in the ground. His story is next, and it may as well be yours. Generations after David, in one of the darkest seasons his nation ever endured, a young man crouched at the bottom of a winepress, threshing wheat. That detail sounds boring until you understand it. Wheat was threshed on open hilltops, where the wind could carry the chaff away. Nobody threshes wheat in a sunken stone pit, unless they are hiding. Gideon was hiding, doing necessary work in a hole, hoping the raiders who plagued his people would not spot him. Take a moment to see him accurately, because he is a mirror. Here is a man doing honest, essential work, invisibly, below ground level, in a posture of fear, in an era when everything felt like it was falling apart. If you had walked past that winepress, you would have seen nothing worth stopping for, a frightened farmer in a hole. That is the entire visible data set, and that is precisely the moment heaven chose to speak to him. An angel of the Lord appeared and sat down under a nearby oak and addressed the man in the hole with a sentence so mismatched to the evidence that it almost sounds like sarcasm. "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Mighty warrior. To a man hiding in a pit. Not one recorded act of courage stood anywhere in the history of Gideon at that point. The greeting was not describing his track record. It was reading his file. Understand what happened in that moment, because it is the exact answer to the question we carried out of the last chapter. Is there anyone who reads sealed things? Yes, the one who wrote them. God did not look at Gideon and generously round him up to warrior. God read the specification he himself had installed, the one no neighbor, no family member, and not even Gideon had ever seen. He read it because he installed it. The manufacturer can always read the model number. And notice how Gideon responds. "Because you have said these words," he argues. "My clan is the weakest in the tribe, and I am the least in the house of my father." He recites his resume of smallness to the face of an angel. He does what you do, chosen one, every time the sense of assignment rises in you. He cross-examines the calling with the evidence of his circumstances. And heaven does not argue back with evidence. Heaven simply repeats the reading. Go in the strength you have. Am I not sending you? The reading does not depend on his agreement. That is the part that should make you sit very still. Your file does not shrink when you doubt it. Your specification does not amend itself to match your self-image. Gideon spent that entire conversation certain that heaven had the wrong address and heaven had the right address, and the story only moves forward on the accuracy of the reader, never on the confidence of the read. So here is where we now stand in the mystery, and I want to stack the layers so you can see how far down we have come. On the surface, you feel alien and unseen, and you assumed that meant damage. One layer down, we found it was not damage but a sealed manifest, cargo without public documentation. Another layer down, we found the double burn, the second secret load of hiding it all. Another layer down, the quiet commissioning, the deliberate gap between oil and throne. And now the load-bearing wall of the whole structure. Underneath every layer sits one fact. There is exactly one reader with access to your full file, and he has never misread you for 1 second of your existence. Every other reading of you that has ever been performed, by family, by teachers, by the mirror, was done without the key and is therefore formally a guess. You have spent your life bleeding over the guesses of unauthorized readers. Let that reorganize something in you. The question of your life has quietly been, why can no one see me? And the answer breaking open now is that the question was aimed at the wrong audience. The relevant question was always, does the one who sealed me still read me? And the man in the winepress got the answer for all of us. He reads. He reads in real time. He reads mighty warrior in a man hiding in a hole, and he reads the one in a person the whole room overlooks. Now I want to do something we have not done yet. We have spent all this time in the past, healing history. Let me show you forward for a moment. Come stand at a window with me and look at a scene from a life that already made the shift you are making tonight. It is an ordinary evening, some months from now. You walk into a full room, the same kind of room that used to press the air out of you. And something is different, and it takes you a moment to name it. You are not scanning for whether anyone can read you. The old audition is simply not running. You feel the familiar weight on your shoulder, the assignment. But it sits differently now, the way a pack sits on a soldier who knows the mission is real, and the commander is watching. Someone asks you a shallow question, and you answer it warmly, and you feel no grief, because you are not starving anymore. You had a full reading this morning, before the sun came up, from the only one with the seal. You laugh at the jokes of somebody nearby. You carry a plate to the kitchen, and the whole time there is a quiet hum under your ribs where the ache used to be. The hum says, he knows. He knows what I carry. It is enough that he knows. And here is the strangest part of that future evening. People start drifting toward you. Not because you performed, but because a person at rest in a sealed identity gives off something the room can feel, even though the room cannot name it. You spent years trying to be readable and it exhausted you. You stopped and became magnetic. That is not a fantasy. That is simply what carriers look like after the double burn goes out. Hold that picture, because it is not decoration, it is destination. And now, standing between the winepress and that future evening, I want to give you the phrase for this stretch of the road. 4 words. Seen by the one. Because that is what Gideon got in the hole, and it is what you are getting tonight. Not seen by the many, seen by the one, which turns out to be the only reading that was ever load-bearing. Write it in the comments. Seen by the one. Let it be your entry in the record. Before we go on, one instruction, and do not skip it because it sounds small. Sometime in the next day, find a winepress moment of your own. Some place where you do your hidden, unthanked, essential work. The kitchen sink at midnight. The car before a shift. the desk after everyone logs off. Stand in that spot on purpose and say out loud, "You see me here," because the pattern of Gideon says that the hole where you hide is precisely where the reading gets delivered. There is one more thing waiting in the old language of these stories, and it is the deepest thing yet. We have talked about what you carry and who can read it and why the timing is quiet. But we have not yet asked the oldest question, the one you have prayed in the dark and been half ashamed of. If he loves me, why will he not just take this weight off me? You have asked it. Be honest. Some of you asked it this week. The answer is hidden inside a single ancient Hebrew word, a word that appears hundreds of times across the old scriptures, a word that means to carry. And when you see what else that same word means, what it has always meant in the same breath, you will understand why the weight was never removed, and you will stop asking for it to be. That word is next. In the ancient Hebrew of the scriptures, there is a small word, 3 letters, pronounced na-sa. It is one of the most common verbs in the whole Old Testament, appearing more than 600 times, and its first meaning is exactly what you would expect from everything we have been walking through. It means to carry, to bear, to haul a weight from one place to another. When the priests carried the ark through the wilderness, the word was nasa, but ancient Hebrew does something that our modern languages rarely do. It lets one word hold an entire theology. Because nasa does not only mean to carry, the same word, same letters, same breath, also means to lift, to raise something up. When a head that was hanging in shame is raised, the word is nasa. When eyes are lifted to the hills, nasa. The language itself refuses to separate carrying from lifting. In the grammar of heaven, they are one motion, and it goes further, and this is where you need to hold something steady in yourself. Nasa is also the great Hebrew word for forgiveness. When the scriptures say, God forgives iniquity, the literal words are that he carries it. He lifts it off one set of shoulders and bears it away on his own. Forgiveness, in the original language of your faith, is not a legal eraser. It is a transfer of weight. Someone carries what someone else could not. Now bring that word back to the question you have prayed in the dark. If he loves me, why will he not take this weight away? Look at the question through NASA and watch it change shape. You have been assuming that carrying and being lifted are opposites, that as long as the weight remains, the rescue has not come. But the word says carrying and lifting are the same word. The scriptures could not say burden without saying elevation in the same syllable. Here is the symptom underneath that midnight prayer, and let me name it without flinching. Somewhere along the years, you started suspecting that the weight was a punishment, that you carry more than the people around you because you are somehow in trouble, marked wrong, paying for something. You would never preach that, but you have felt it. Every heavy season whispered it. If God were pleased with me, my life would feel lighter than this. And you explained your load accordingly, as discipline, as neglect, as proof of some deficiency in your faith, because the joyful people at church seemed weightless, and you have never once felt weightless. That explanation has been sitting on your chest alongside the actual load, and I am here to tell you it was never true. And the word NASA is the proof, written into the language centuries before you were born. Because here is the hidden mechanism. Weight, in the economy of God, is not the opposite of favor. It is the instrument of elevation. Think of how a kite rises, only against resistance. Think of how a wing works, only under load. Think of the deepest moments of your own life, and notice that not one of them happened in a light season. The capacity you hate on Tuesday is the exact capacity that makes you the one on the day the assignment goes live. What you carry was never sent to press you down. It was issued to develop the muscles of a lifter. Every year under the sealed manifest has been quietly building in you a strength that cannot be built any other way. The strength that forgives, which is to say, the strength that carries what other people drop. Look at the word one more time. The forgivers and the carriers and the lifted in Hebrew are all the same people. They are the NASA people. You are NASA people. So recontextualize the midnight prayer. All those years you begged for removal, heaven heard a lifter in training asking to be excused from the very process that makes lifting possible. And heaven, loving you precisely, said not yet. And you read the not yet as abandonment. It was never abandonment. A good father does not take the barbell away from the child he is training to be strong. He stands over the bar. He spots every repetition. He never once leaves the room. And now the words that are not mine again, because this part was handed to me too, and it belongs to you. Receive it slowly. My child, you have asked me many times to take it away, and you have wondered why I stay silent. I am not silent. I am under the other end of it. There has never been a day you carried this alone. When you stumbled, I did not remove the weight. I moved closer. And on the day I finally show you what you were building all these years, you will thank me for every pound of it. Until that day, lean the heavy end on me. Breathe. Do not rush past what you just heard. Some of you have carried the punishment story for 30 years, and it just died. Let it die completely. The weight on you is not a sentence. It is equipment, and the one who issued it has been holding the other end since before you knew it had another end. So what is the practice, the handle on this revelation? It is a single sentence, prayed differently. Starting tonight, when the load presses down and the old prayer rises, take it away. I want you to pray the NASA prayer instead. Lord, lift this with me, not instead of me, with me. Feel the difference in your body when you pray it. One prayer is a refusal of the assignment. The other is a request for the promised partner, and that request has never once been declined. I want to show you the same truth from one more angle before we move on, because it is too important to leave with only one witness. The old priestly blessing, the one spoken over the people of God for 3,000 years, contains our word hidden in plain sight. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you. And then the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Lift up, Nasa. The climactic line of the oldest blessing in your faith is a picture of God performing the carrier motion toward you. He raises his face to you the way you raise a weight, deliberately, fully, with intent. You are not only a carrier, chosen one. You are carried. You are not only a lifter, you are what he lifts, the whole covenant, compressed into one 3-letter word, and the word has been describing you all along. We have gone deep into the old language, and there is one more figure waiting for us there, the quietest one of all. Because everything we have uncovered tonight, the sealed manifest, the hidden reading, the weight that lifts, all of it converges in a teenage girl from Nazareth who was handed the heaviest sealed assignment in the history of the world, and who shows us the one skill every carrier must learn or break. She learned what to do with the things you cannot tell anyone, and so will you. Consider Mary of Nazareth for a moment, not as a painting, but as a person holding information. An angel has told her that she will carry the Messiah. Think about the practical reality of that sentence. She is young, unmarried, in a small town where everyone knows everyone, holding the single most important piece of news in the history of the human race, and there is almost no one on earth she can safely tell. Who would believe her? Her explanation of her own life sounds, to every available listener, either like madness or like scandal. The truest thing about her is the least sayable thing about her. If you have been with me this whole journey, you just felt a shock of recognition, because that is your life in miniature. The truest things about you, the assignment, the sensing, the moments with God, are precisely the things you cannot put on the table at dinner. So what did she do with it? The scriptures give us her strategy in a single repeated line, and it might be the most important sentence ever written for people like you. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. Shepherds arrive babbling about angel choirs. She treasures it. 12 years later, her son says something no one understands in the temple. She treasures it. The word means she stored these things deliberately, like valuables in a vault. Now let me name the wound this touches in you, because it is real, and it has been bleeding quietly for years. You have a hidden interior life, and you have felt guilty about it. You sit in conversations holding whole continents you never mention, and some voice accuses you. If they knew how much you keep inside, they would call you fake. You have wondered if all this privacy is a symptom, a wall left over from old hurts, something a healthier person would have dismantled by now. That is the common explanation, and tonight it goes in the fire with the others. Because there is a difference, a structural difference, between hiding out of fear and storing out of wisdom, and nobody ever taught you the difference. So you filed all your inwardness under fear and shame. Some of it may have been fear, fine, but the deepest part of it was never fear. It was the correct handling procedure for sealed cargo, running in you on instinct. Here is the mechanism, and here is its name. The treasuring chamber. Every carrier is issued, along with the assignment, an inner vault where the unsayable things are meant to be kept, not as prisoners, but as deposits. Revelation is like seed. Spoken too early, into soil that cannot hold it, it dies in the air. Mary understood this by grace. Certain things are not secrets because they are shameful. They are sealed because they are still growing. Think about what would have happened if Mary had needed the whole village to validate her calling. If she had required her neighbors to believe her before she could believe the angel, the mission would have collapsed under the weight of public opinion in a month. Her strength, the thing that carried her from Nazareth to Bethlehem to the foot of the cross, was that her deepest confirmations lived in a chamber only she and God could enter. The village never got a vote, and now recontextualize your own inwardness. All those years you kept the deepest things unsaid and called yourself cowardly or false. You were not being false, you were being a vault. The instinct that told you not to hand your pearls to the dinner table was not social anxiety. It was the same instinct that made Mary ponder instead of publish. Your silence was not a malfunction of your honesty. It was the treasury protocol of a carrier, and you followed it without ever being taught it. Feel how different your own quietness looks from inside that frame. The unshared moments with God were not wasted because no one heard about them. They were compounding, the way money compounds precisely when you do not keep pulling it out to show people. Every private confirmation you ever treasured is still in the vault, still gaining interest, waiting for the season when it becomes provision. Nothing deposited in that chamber has ever been lost. So here is the practice for this revelation, and it may become the dearest habit of your life. Give the treasuring chamber a physical door. Get a notebook, an ordinary one, and let it become the ledger of the vault. When something passes between you and God that no one else would understand, write it down, date it, and tell no one. Not for a post, not for a testimony, not yet, just the record. You are not journaling feelings. You are keeping the books of a treasury. Do this, and two things will happen. First, the ache of unshareability will ease, because the deep things now have somewhere to go. A vault with a ledger does not feel like loneliness. It feels like stewardship. And second, on some future day when your assignment goes public, the way the assignment of Mary eventually did, you will open that ledger and find the whole paper trail of your commissioning, entry by entry, and you will realize God was confirming you in writing for years. If the vault in you just got named for the first time, here is the phrase for the comments, 5 words. I treasure it with him. That is what the chamber actually is, not a place where you are alone with secrets, but a place where you are together with the only reader. 2 keys, 1 vault. I treasure it with him. Post it as your deposit slip, and know that thousands of other vault keepers will read it and understand you instantly, the way only carriers can. Now stand back with me and look at the whole structure we have uncovered, because the picture is nearly complete, and the last missing piece is the strangest one. You carry a sealed assignment. It burns double when hidden, so you bring it daily to the witness. Its timing runs on the quiet commissioning. Its weight is NASA weight, designed to lift you. Its unsayable portions belong in the treasuring chamber. Every piece explained, every ache named, except one. Because there is still that other heaviness, the one I flagged at the very beginning, the fog, the flatness, the sense of running at a fraction of yourself that no spiritual practice ever fully cleared. You can pray with a clean heart and a witnessed load and a full vault, and still feel like your mind is wading through wet sand at 3 in the afternoon. That peace is not spiritual, chosen one. That peace is physical, and it has a laboratory, a Nobel Prize, and a paper trail. And when I show you what was discovered, you are going to understand something that has been hiding in plain sight through this entire message. The carrying capacity we have been talking about all night runs on an instrument, an actual physical instrument inside you. And almost every adult you have ever met, including the one hearing my voice right now, had that instrument quietly turned down before they were old enough to object. It is time you saw the whole picture. Let me take you back to the beginning of your own story, before the wait, before the rooms full of people, before any of it. I want you to remember, if you can, what it felt like to be 5 years old. Not the events, the texture, the way a cardboard box could be a ship, a fort, a cave, a spaceship, all in one afternoon. The way questions poured out of you faster than adults could answer them. The way your mind moved. That was not childhood silliness, that was capacity. Decades ago, researchers in America ran a famous long-term study on creative thinking, the kind of flexible, connective, possibility-generating intelligence that solves problems no one has seen before. They tested a large group of small children, and the results were almost unbelievable. Nearly all of them, close to 98%, scored at what the researchers classified as genius level for that kind of thinking. Then they followed those same children through the years and kept testing. By age 10, the number had collapsed. By adolescence, it had collapsed again. And by adulthood, the portion of people still scoring at that level was a fraction of 1%. Fewer than 1 in 1,000. Read those two numbers together and let them disturb you properly. Almost everyone is born with it. Almost no one still has it. Something happens to nearly every human being in between. Notice what those numbers actually mean, because most people hear them backward. They do not mean that genius is rare. They mean that genius is standard issue, and that losing it is what is nearly universal. Your question was never whether you were born with remarkable capacity. Statistically, you almost certainly were. The real question, the one that should keep researchers up at night, is what in the world is switching it off, and whether the switch can be flipped back. To answer that, I need to introduce you to the laboratory I promised. In the 1960s and 70s, a neuroscientist in California named Dr. Roger Sperry conducted a series of experiments that would eventually win him the Nobel Prize in medicine. He was studying patients whose two brain hemispheres had been surgically separated, and what he discovered rewrote our understanding of the human mind at the deepest level. Sperry demonstrated that the two halves of your mind are not redundant copies. They are two profoundly different instruments. One side leans toward language, logic, sequence, analysis, the accountant of your inner world. The other leans toward pattern, imagery, intuition, meaning, the poet and navigator. And here is the finding that matters for you. The magic, the genius-level performance, was never located in either half. It lives in the conversation between them. A child at play is running both instruments at full volume, fused into one orchestra. That is why the cardboard box could be a spaceship and a fort in the same hour. Logic and imagination were not taking turns. They were dancing. That dance is what the researchers were measuring when 98% of small children scored at genius level. The score was not measuring knowledge. It was measuring the bandwidth of the bridge between the two halves. So what happens between 5 and 25? The bridge gets starved. Modern schooling, for all its gifts, trains one instrument almost exclusively, the analytical one, and quietly teaches the other to sit down and be quiet. Stress narrows the mind further, because a mind under threat drops everything except survival calculation. Years of routine, screens, pressure, and fear finish the job. The conversation between your two halves grows thinner, quieter, slower, and school is only the first thief. Stress finishes what the classroom begins. A mind that spends years in survival mode, worrying over money, absorbing conflict, bracing for the next blow, learns to route everything through the narrow machinery of threat calculation and lets the wide bridge grow quiet. Survival is loud, wonder is optional, and the nervous system, ever practical, funds what is loud and mothballs what is optional, year after year, until the mothballs feel like personality. And I want to give you the phrase that researchers in this field use, because it is the most hopeful phrase in this entire message. The capacity is dimmed, not dead. Nothing was surgically removed from you. No wiring was torn out. The orchestra is still seated. The instruments are still tuned. What faded was the traffic across the bridge, and traffic is exactly the kind of thing that can be restored, because the road itself never went anywhere. Dimmed, not dead. Hold those 3 words. Now bring this home to the carrier, because this is where the physical story and the spiritual story become one story, and you are going to feel the click when they join. Everything we have named tonight, the sensing of things before they announce themselves, the reading of rooms, the pull of assignment, the deep water conversations you starve for, every bit of that runs on the connected mind. The bridge is the instrument of the carrier. Sensing is pattern recognition married to meaning, both halves working together. Discernment is intuition checked by logic, both halves. The creative problem solving your assignment will demand both halves. When God installed your equipment, He installed it to run on the full orchestra, which means the dimming that happens to nearly every adult does not cost every adult equally. An ordinary life can limp along fine on one instrument. A calling cannot. Do you see it now? Do you see why the fog has felt like more than fog to you? The same dimming that makes an average person a little less creative makes a carrier feel like they are hauling their assignment through wet sand with half their strength unavailable. You were not imagining that the flatness was interfering with something important. It was interfering with the most important thing about you. The weight was rated for a full instrument. You have been carrying it on a dimmed one. Sit with the injustice of that for a moment, because it deserves anger before it deserves hope. Nobody asked your permission. No committee sat you down at 7 years old and said, "We are about to trade away the connected mind you were born with. Sign here." It happened the way erosion happens, invisibly, respectably, in classrooms and offices and long, anxious years, until one day you stood in a full room, feeling 3 feet behind your own body, and blamed your soul for what had happened to your instrument. And this is where I have to widen the lens, because what happened to you did not just happen to you. It happened to essentially everyone you have ever met. Every tired adult you know is walking around with a 5-year-old genius sealed somewhere inside them, dimmed by the same slow process, and almost none of them know it. The scale of this thing, once you see it, is staggering, and it raises a question I do not ask lightly. What do you call it when something of immense value is taken from nearly every member of a population, so gradually and so uniformly that nobody files a complaint, because nobody realizes anything was taken? There is a word for that, and it is not a gentle word. And in the next few minutes, I am going to use it, and I am going to show you why the oldest promises in Scripture speak directly to it. Because heaven, it turns out, has an opinion about stolen goods. The word is swindle. I have thought about it for a long time, and I keep coming back to that word because it is the accurate one. A theft so smooth that the victim never notices the moment of taking. And what has happened to the connected mind of nearly every person alive, I am convinced, will one day be remembered as the great swindle of our lifetime. Not a conspiracy with a villain in a boardroom, something quieter and bigger than that. A whole civilization arranged, without anyone quite intending it, to trade the deepest capacity of its children for compliance, speed, and manageable behavior. 98% walked in with the orchestra playing. Fewer than 1 in 1,000 walked out with it still connected. And because it happened to everyone at once, there was no contrast left to reveal the loss. When every person in the room has been robbed, an empty pocket looks normal. You have lived your whole adult life inside that swindle, comparing your dimmed self to other dimmed selves, and concluding that this flatness must simply be what adulthood feels like. It is not what adulthood was meant to feel like. It is what the aftermath of an unreported theft feels like. And tonight, at the halfway mark of this message, I am officially reporting the theft on your behalf. And I want to mark this moment clearly. We are near the middle of our time together, and I need you to know that the structure of this message is not a slope winding down from here. The heaviest revelation, the one everything has been building toward, is still ahead of us, along with the practical door out, the reconciliation I promised your heart, and the name at the end. If you have come this far, you are exactly the person the rest of this was written for. Stay. Now, here is why I brought the swindle to a message about what you carry. Because your first instinct, hearing that something was taken from you, will be to grieve it, and your second instinct will be to shrug. Because what can anyone do about erosion that started decades ago? Both instincts are wrong, and the reason they are wrong is written in the old book in a promise most believers quote without ever noticing how legally it is worded. The prophet Joel, speaking for God to a people who had lost years of harvest to a devouring swarm, records one of the strangest and most beautiful commitments in all of Scripture. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. Read it again slowly. Not, I will comfort you about the years. Not, I will help you accept the years. I will restore the years themselves. The eaten harvest, returned. Time itself, treated as recoverable property. Notice who is speaking and what that does to the situation. When God says, I will restore, the question of whether restoration is possible is closed. What remains open is only whether the offer is taken up. And this is where I need you to understand the difference between a request and a claim, because the difference will define the rest of your life with this. A request approaches asking whether, a claim approaches because the matter is already settled and simply collects. You request things that may or may not be granted. You claim things that are already yours under an existing promise. The insurance company does not need you to beg movingly. It needs you to file. And the restoration of what was dimmed in you, chosen one, sits in the second category, not the first. The promise is on record. The theft is documented. What has been missing for all these years is not the willingness of God. It is the filing of the claim. And understand that this is not a modern self-help idea dressed in scripture. The posture of holy claiming runs through the whole book. The widow who would not stop knocking on the door of the judge. The woman who reached for the hem of a garment without asking permission first. Blind Bartimaeus, shouting over the crowd that told him to be quiet because he knew mercy had his name on it. Heaven consistently rewards the ones who treat the promises as addressed mail rather than window displays. So hear me clearly on what tonight is. Tonight is not you discovering a sad fact about your childhood. Tonight is you, the carrier, the one, standing up in the middle of the great swindle and saying, "That capacity was issued to me for an assignment. It was taken without consent. There is a restoration clause in the oldest covenant I belong to, and I am invoking it. Not begging, invoking. There are prayers that whimper, and prayers that file paperwork, and heaven has always honored the second kind." I will say something now that may sting, and I say it with tenderness. Some of you have been requesting for decades what you were entitled to claim all along. You have circled the same prayer for years. Lord, please help me think clearly again. Lord, please lift this fog. Always asking, never collecting, because nobody ever told you the difference. You were a rightful owner, knocking on the door of your own house, pleading to be let in, holding the deed the entire time. That ends tonight, and here is the phrase that ends it. 5 words for the comments, and I want you to feel the legal weight of them as you type. I claim it all back. Not, I hope it comes back. Not, maybe someday. I claim it all back. The connected mind, the dimmed years, the strength the assignment was rated for. All of it, under the Joel clause, filed tonight, in front of thousands of witnesses reading the same comments you are. I claim it all back. And when you have typed it, notice what rises in you, because for some of you it will be the first time in years that hope has felt muscular instead of wishful. That feeling is not hype. That is what agency feels like when it comes home. The victim of a swindle feels heavy. A claimant feels dangerous, in the best sense of the word. You have been heavy long enough. Now, everything is on the table except one final piece, and I have been saving it deliberately, because it could not land until you had all the others. Let me line up what we know. You carry a sealed assignment most people will never perceive. Carrying it hidden burns double. Its weight is NASA weight, engineered to lift. And the instrument it was designed to rest on, the connected mind, was dimmed by the great swindle before you ever got a vote. Each of those truths you now hold separately, like stones in a row. But there is a question none of them answers alone. The question that has been circling this entire message like a hawk since the opening minute, and it is time to bring it down. Why does it hurt the way it specifically hurts? Why the loneliness on top of the weight? Why the aloneness in full rooms and not just tiredness? Why has the carrying made you feel not only burdened, but alien? Because think about it, a heavy load explains exhaustion. It does not explain the feeling of being from somewhere else. A dimmed mind explains fog. It does not explain why nobody has ever truly found you. There is one more mechanism, the last chamber of this mystery, where the weight and the dimming and the ceiling all collide. And what they produce when they collide is the exact specific ache you have carried since childhood. We open that chamber now. Near the beginning of this message, I made you a promise. I said that part of your heaviness was physical, that it was never your fault, and that before we finished you would know exactly what had been added to your load, who added it, and how it comes off. You now know what was added, the dimming. You know who added it, the slow swindle that no one intended and everyone inherited. What remains is the deepest question, and it is not how it comes off. It is what it has been costing you all along. Because here is what I have not told you yet. The dimming and the carrying are not two separate problems that happen to live in the same person. They multiply each other. And the product of that multiplication is the precise, unmistakable ache that made you click on this message. Let me name it one last time. At full resolution, it is not just that you get tired. It is that you feel foreign. It is not just that rooms drain you. It is that rooms have never once contained you. It is that even your happiest days carry a thin film of elsewhere over them, as if you are permanently slightly out of phase with your own life. And on the worst nights, it is the quiet, unspeakable suspicion that you were assembled wrong, that some error was made in your design, that you are a mistake wearing a person. You have explained that ache your whole life with the darkest available theory that something in you is defective at the root. Even tonight, after everything we have uncovered, a stubborn corner of you still holds that theory, because the sealed manifest explains the misreading and the double burn explains the tiredness, but neither quite explains the foreignness. You are right, neither does. So let me show you what does, and let me give this final mechanism its name. The carrier paradox. Here it is, as plainly as I can say it. The equipment you carry was designed to make you the most connected person in any room, and that same equipment, running dimmed, makes you the loneliest person in the same room. The very instrument that was installed for connection, when it is turned down, does not go neutral. It inverts. The blessing does not become absence, it becomes ache. Think it through with me, because I do not want you to take this on faith. What is the carrying equipment in practice? It is depth of perception, so you could read what others miss. It is resonance, so you could feel with people and carry what they cannot. It is bandwidth for meaning, so you could hold an assignment bigger than a lifetime. Now dim the instrument those capacities run on, and watch what each one turns into. Depth of perception, dimmed, becomes seeing enough to feel separate but not enough to feel guided. Resonance, dimmed, becomes absorbing the pain of every room while connecting deeply in none of them. Bandwidth for meaning, dimmed, becomes hunger for a depth you can sense but cannot reach, like a word forever on the tip of the tongue. Every gift, at half power, produces the exact shape of your specific loneliness. The ache you have carried is not the opposite of your equipment. It is your equipment idling. And now, the sentence this entire message has been building toward. You were never too heavy. You were underlit. The load was rated correctly. The manifest was written accurately. The assignment was matched to your true capacity by a sender who does not make sizing errors. What was never in the plan was that you would carry a full rated load on a dimmed instrument alone for decades, with no one to tell you why it hurt in that specific way. The weight was designed for a carrier running at full connection, a carrier who would feel the presence of the one holding the other end, who would recognize other carriers across a room the way lighthouses recognize each other, who would experience the load the way a wing experiences wind, as the very thing that makes lift possible. Carrying was never meant to feel like this. It was meant to feel like flying low, heavy, and glorious at the same time. So the foreignness was never a verdict about your soul. Hear this and let it go all the way down. You felt like an alien because a lighthouse running at half power still cannot be a house. It is not shaped like the other buildings, and its light is too dim to do what lighthouses do, so it stands on the shore fitting nowhere, too strange to be ordinary, too dark to be extraordinary, aching in both directions at once. That has been you, not wrongly made, wrongly dimmed. There was never anything on that shore to be ashamed of. Take a breath, because I know what just happened for some of you. The oldest accusation in your inner life, the one that says you are a mistake, just lost its evidence. Every exhibit it ever presented, the alienness, the unreachable depth, the ache in full rooms, all of it just moved to the other side of the case. The prosecution rested on a dimmed instrument, and the instrument turns out to be restorable, and the design turns out to be magnificent. So what do you do, standing in this last chamber? Two things, and they are the two halves of everything that remains of this message. The first is spiritual, and you have already begun it. You filed the claim. I claim it all back is not a comment under a message. It is a legal motion in the oldest court there is, and it has been received. Keep filing it daily. Restoration in Scripture is a covenant matter, and covenants respond to people who stand on them. And the second thing, well, the second thing is where this message turns a corner that very few messages like this one ever turn. And I want to turn it honestly, with no games, because if the dimming has a physical dimension, a structural dimension in the instrument itself, then it is fair to ask whether anything practical, anything as concrete as the dimming was, exists to help reverse it. That question has an answer, and the answer surprised me. But I am not going to hand you that answer yet, because there is a right order to these things, and the order matters more than speed. Before you hear about any door, you need to know what walking through it would actually look like, because restoration is not a lightning strike. It has a shape, a sequence, early signs, and if you do not know them, you will miss them the way people miss every quiet work of God, by expecting fireworks. Here is how restoration of a dimmed instrument tends to begin, according to both the old stories and the people who have lived it. It begins small and sensory. Colors seem slightly more present. A piece of music you have heard 100 times suddenly has a room in it you never noticed. You catch yourself having an idea in the shower that connects two things you had never put together, and the connection feels like it came from somewhere both inside and above you. Then it moves into your mornings. The first thoughts of the day arrive with less static. The dread that used to sit on the edge of the bed with you starts missing appointments. You reach for a word and it is simply there, the way words were there when you were 9. None of these moments will feel supernatural. That is the mark of real restoration. It does not feel like becoming someone else. It feels like remembering how you have always actually felt underneath. Old rooms begin to feel strangely smaller, and old problems begin to feel strangely more solvable. Not because they shrank, but because more of you is showing up to meet them. People may comment that you seem different before you feel different, because restoration leaks out through the face and the posture long before it reports to the conscious mind. Do not argue with them. Just make the vault entry and keep going. And then, further in, it reaches the carrier layer, and this is the part I want you to hold in front of you, like a lamp. The load starts to sit differently. You pick up the same assignment, the same responsibilities, the same sealed weight you have hauled for decades, and your soul notices what your shoulders notice when a pack is finally fitted correctly. Nothing was removed, and yet everything is lighter, because the strength the load was rated for is coming back online. Prayer changes texture. Where there was wall, there is weather. The treasuring chamber fills faster, because you are perceiving again at the depth the vault was built for. And one day, in some completely ordinary place, a grocery aisle, a parking lot, you will look at a stranger and simply know, the way lighthouses know, that they carry something too. And the loneliness that ran your whole life will quietly hand in its resignation, because carriers at full light can find each other. That is what is on the other side of the claim you filed. I wanted the picture painted before anything practical enters the frame, because practical things are only ever as valuable as the destination they serve. Hold the picture. Now let me say the thing that most messages like this one never say. Everything you have learned tonight is true, and everything you have learned tonight is, by itself, incomplete. I have watched what happens to people who receive only the spiritual half of this revelation. They leave moved. They pray differently for a week. And then the fog, the physical, structural fog that was never a spiritual problem, grinds them slowly back down, and they conclude that even this message failed them. The insight stays insight. It never becomes power. Why? Why does knowing the whole architecture of what you carry still not fully restore the instrument you carry it with? You can understand a dimmed lamp completely, and the room stays dark. The answer to that question is not another idea. It is the one piece of this entire puzzle that lives outside the world of ideas, and it is the next thing I am going to give you. First, let me close the frame so you can see exactly where you stand. Let me say it in the plainest English I have used all night. No imagery, no old stories, just the facts as they now stand. Why you hurt. You were born with an unusually large carrying capacity, installed for a real assignment. Life dimmed the connection between the two halves of your mind, the instrument that capacity runs on. A big load on a dimmed instrument produces exactly two things: exhaustion and aloneness. That is the why, and none of it was your fault. What actually needs to happen? The connection needs to be restored, not managed, not compensated for, restored. The science is clear that the pathways are dimmed rather than gone, and clear that they respond to being deliberately reactivated. The claim you filed tonight is the covenant half of that restoration. The instrument itself, the physical half, also needs to be addressed physically, the same way it was dimmed physically by years of one-sided use. And who this is for? Not everyone, honestly. A person content with a comfortable, unexamined life can run on half an instrument forever and never miss it. This is for the one who carries, the one who has felt the assignment humming under the floorboards of every ordinary day, the one who has done everything right, prayed, served, endured, and still feels the wet sand. If that is you, then what comes next is not an option among options. It is the missing half of your own story. You have spent your whole life being the one who carries everyone else. That was never going to be who you stayed. The carried version of you, the restored version, is not a stranger. It is the original. So here is the question that remains, the only one left standing. Now that you know what was dimmed, and that it can be undimmed, what would a person actually do about it tomorrow morning, in a real house, with a real schedule, and real bills, and 8 unclaimed minutes? 60 years of research and one neurologist in New York City turn out to have a very specific answer. Everything I am about to tell you, I am telling you as a carrier speaking to a carrier, because you, of all people, the one who burns double fuel every single day, deserve to know that this exists. In New York City, there is a neurologist named Dr. Daniel Barone, a physician who has spent his career studying the human mind. And the road that led him here began, as these roads often do, with a patient he could not explain. She was, by every measure his clinic could run, healthy, and yet she sat in his office describing a life you will recognize, a fog that never fully lifted, a mind that felt like it was operating behind glass. The sense of being present in her own days without ever quite arriving in them. She had tried everything her doctors suggested and everything the wellness world sells, and nothing had touched it. The tests kept coming back normal, and she kept not being normal. What troubled him was how many of them there were, patient after patient, year after year, describing the same invisible dimness, people whose instruments were clearly intact but whose orchestras were clearly not playing. Somewhere in those years he went back to the research trail that started with the split brainwork of Dr. Roger Sperry, the Nobel science we walked through earlier, and he began asking a very direct question. If the connection between the hemispheres can be starved, can it be deliberately fed? The answer he and his colleagues arrived at, after years of development, is something they call neural sync technology. The idea is almost embarrassingly simple to describe. Sound, structured in a precise way and delivered to both ears, can invite the two halves of the mind to fire in coordination, to talk to each other again, the way a steady drumbeat can pull a room full of strangers into clapping in time. Nobody claps on command. Everybody claps to rhythm. Used consistently, this kind of guided coordination encourages what his field calls whole brain activation, both instruments playing at once, the analytical half and the intuitive half rejoining the conversation they were having in you when you were 5 years old, before the swindle. Not something new being installed, something original being invited back online. Dimmed, not dead, remember. The road never went anywhere. This is traffic, returning. And when his team shaped years of that research into something an ordinary person could actually use at a kitchen table, they gave it a name. They called it the Genius Switch, an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. One track, 8 minutes, once a day. You put on headphones, you close your eyes, and you listen. That is the entire discipline. That is the whole door. I want to slow down here, because after everything we have walked through tonight, the size of this next thought deserves a moment. You have spent this entire message learning that your instrument was dimmed by years of one-sided living. It should make deep sense to you then that the restoration would also come through the ears and the nervous system, gently and physically, the same route the dimming took. Like is answered with like. The door out is shaped like the door in. And notice what the 8 minutes do not require of you, because this matters enormously for a person who is already carrying too much. No study, no mantras, no hour of silence you do not have. It works beneath your effort, beneath your awareness, the way sleep repairs you without your supervision. You do not have to believe in it hard enough. You do not have to perform. For 8 minutes a day, for once in your life, you are not the one doing the carrying. Something carries you. If you miss a day, nothing is lost. You simply return the next day and continue. There is no streak to protect, no guilt mechanism, no failure state. I mention that because I know exactly who I am talking to. You have turned every practice you ever touched into another obligation to carry. This one was built deliberately to refuse to become a burden. It is 8 minutes of putting the pack down while the bridge gets rebuilt underneath you. Does it actually do anything? Fair question, and the fairest answer is to let you listen to the people who were where you are. A woman from California, a nurse, described her life before as something that was happening to her. Fog in the morning, hopelessness by evening, a mind she described as a blocked channel. About 10 days into the 8-minute practice, her words were that something cleared. The channel opened. The stress she had stopped even noticing dissolved. And her marriage, she said, changed with it. A man from Texas, a business owner with 2 young children, put it differently. And his version might be yours. He said prayer had started feeling like talking into a wall, and that he had been carrying his whole family on a mind running at partial power. A couple of weeks in, his description was mechanical, the way men often talk when they are moved, firing on all cylinders again. The fog had been so constant, he said, that he had stopped registering it as fog. Then, one morning, it simply was not there. 2 people, 2 lives, the same shape underneath, a carrier, a dimmed instrument, and a restoration that arrived not through more effort, but through 8 quiet minutes a day. That shape now exists in the thousands. More than 18,400 everyday Americans have walked through this same door. Nurses and builders and grandmothers and pastors, people who would never call themselves mystics, most of whom simply wanted their minds back. And I will tell you the detail in all of this that moved me most, the one that made me willing to speak about it inside a message as sacred as this one. It is who this thing keeps finding, not the comfortable, not the curious. Over and over, the stories are carriers, people who spent decades holding families, congregations, teams, and silent assignments together on half an instrument, people who had quietly accepted that flat was forever. The very people this whole message has been about. That is not marketing to me, that is pattern, and by now you know how I feel about patterns. When the same door keeps appearing in front of the same kind of person at the same point in their story, the carrier in me stops calling it coincidence. So let me tell you plainly what this is, and just as plainly who it is for and who it is not for, because that distinction is real, and I intend to honor it. The genius switch is not for everyone, and I mean that as a statement of fact, not as a sales line. If a person is content running one instrument, if their life asks nothing of them that a dimmed mind cannot supply, they can live well without ever touching this, and I wish them a genuinely happy road. A rowboat does not need a lighthouse lamp. There is no shame in being a rowboat, but that is not who has been sitting with me for the last 2 hours. This was built for the one who carries, the one who has been doing double duty since childhood and calling it a personality flaw, the one who filed the claim tonight with shaking hands, the one who read all 5 signs at the beginning of this message and felt their skin prickle because a stranger had just described the inside of their life. If the word carrier has felt like your name tonight, then you are not the general public here. You are the addressee. And because you are the addressee, I want to walk you through the practical side the way a friend would, with every number on the table and nothing rushed, because you have been swindled once already in this lifetime, and I will not let anything, including this, feel like a second one. So here is the honest history of what it costs, as it was told and as it stands. When the work was finished and colleagues of the doctor saw what the sequence could do, the conversation about its value landed where you would expect for something born from years of clinical development. Numbers like $500 were said out loud, and in a world where a single in-office session with a specialist can cost $300 an hour, nobody was joking. If it had been released at that price, it would have found buyers, and it would have missed almost every carrier alive. He would not have it. The stated intention, from the beginning, was that the people who most needed this were precisely the people who could not fly to New York or pay specialist prices, the nurses and the caretakers and the quietly exhausted. So the official price was set at $49, not $500, $49. Already, honestly, a strange number for what it is, the way a door out of a locked room has no sensible market price. But there is one more step, and it is the reason I mentioned timing at all. Through the page connected to this message, the page linked in the description and in the pinned comment, the price today is not even $49, it is $39. A $10 kindness on top of everything else, for the people arriving through this door specifically. $39. Once, owned for life. No subscription, no renewal. about the cost of one unremarkable dinner for the instrument your assignment has been waiting on. And they did not stop at the sequence itself. 4 gifts come bundled with it, free, and I will tell you about them plainly because 2 of them fit this message almost suspiciously well. The first is a guided visualization created by one of the most highly rated voices on a famous calm and rest application, walking you through seeing your life unfold across money, love, health, and happiness. For a person just learning to use a restored imagination, it is a training ground. The second is a smart grocery guide, and before you smile at that, hear its purpose. It names 10 extremely common American foods shown to feed brain fog, the dietary side of the very dimming we have discussed, along with shortcuts that shoppers report save them $100 or more each month at the stores you already visit. The instrument is physical. It eats what you eat. This is the maintenance manual, and it quietly pays for the whole doorway several times over. The third gift is a classic book, more than a century old, one of the original wellsprings that modern teachers of abundance have been drawing from for generations. On the Attraction of Provision, it sells on its own for around $20. And the fourth is a beautifully designed guide to the 5 daily habits most connected to building the future you saw during the vision. We walked earlier tonight, made to be printed and hung where your morning can see it. Now let me put the whole picture in one frame, carrier to carrier. Years of research descending from Nobel science, an 8-minute daily door, 4 companion gifts, one of which likely pays for everything by itself at a grocery store. All of it for $39 today through the page in the description and pinned comment. I have watched people spend more than that this week, numbing the very ache this was built to address. You may have too. That is not a judgment. It is arithmetic. But arithmetic alone should never move a carrier, and there is one more piece, the piece that removes the last reasonable fear, and I want to give it the space it deserves, because I know what is happening in some of you right now. The hope is rising, and right behind the hope, an old guard dog is rising with it, the one that says, "We have been burned before. We have tried things before. We are tired of trying things." I know that dog. I have fed it myself. So let me answer it properly. Here is the piece that answers the guard dog. The Genius Switch carries a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee, and the terms are almost provocatively generous. If it does not do for you what you hoped, for any reason at all, or for no stated reason, you receive every cent back. And here is the detail that tells you everything about the confidence behind it. The guarantee holds no matter how many times you have listened. Play it 100 mornings and then decide. The promise stands. Think about what that does to the mathematics of this decision. The risk has been moved entirely off your side of the table. $39 is not a purchase in that structure. It is a deposit you can recall at will. The only thing you genuinely stake is 8 minutes a day for a season, and if those minutes return your instrument to you, they will have been the most profitable minutes of your adult life. If they do not, the money comes home. A carrier can work with terms like that. One honest caution about timing, and I give it to you exactly as it was given. The $39 figure is the today price through this page, and it comes with a stated warning that it may return to the official $49 or beyond without ceremony. I have no countdown clock to show you, and I would not insult you with a fake one. I will only say what you already know from your own life, that doors of kindness tend to be seasonal, and that the carriers I know have learned to honor open ones. And one caution about the door itself, which I include because I care about where you actually end up. This exists in one place, the official page, reached through the link in the description, and in the pinned comment under this message. It is not sold on Amazon. It is not floating on the music services. Recordings elsewhere wearing similar names have been examined and found to carry none of the actual engineering, because a label costs nothing to copy, and years of development cannot be copied. Go through the description or the pinned comment, or not at all. So here is my whole counsel, offered with open hands. If nothing in you leaned forward during any of this, then let it pass with my blessing, sincerely, and keep every other treasure from tonight, because they are yours regardless. But if something in your spirit has been leaning, quietly, steadily, the way it leaned when I first described the weight in your chest, then trust the leaning. You have overridden that instrument your whole life in the name of being sensible. Just this once. Let it vote. I will add one last human detail, because for me it was the deciding one. A physician put his real name on this. Dr. Barone is a practicing neurologist in the largest city in America, a man with a reputation that took a lifetime to build, and he attached that reputation, publicly and permanently, to an 8-minute recording and an unconditional guarantee. Men in his position do not gamble their names on things they suspect are hollow. That is not proof of what it will do for you. It is proof of what he believes it does. Weigh that like a carrier weighs things. Now, the 3 objections I can already hear, because they deserve daylight, not dismissal. The first, I have tried things like this before, and nothing worked. Friend, so had the nurse from California, by her own exhausted testimony. But notice what you actually tried. Willpower approaches, belief approaches, sound products built on entirely different and shallower ideas. Hemisphere coordination descending from Nobel research is a different mechanism, and a different mechanism is allowed to produce a different result. You have not tried this. You have tried its imitators. The second objection. $39 is real money. It is, and I refuse to pretend otherwise, because pretending would dishonor every carrier counting bills at a kitchen table. But run the other ledger too. Count what the dimmed years have already cost you, the opportunities unfelt, the ideas that never arrived, the double burn paid every single day in the currency of your one life. The cost of staying dimmed is not zero. It is the largest invoice in the whole equation, and it bills you monthly, forever, until something changes. Against that, a refundable $39. The third objection. I have no time for one more thing. I know. That objection is the whole reason this door is shaped the way it is. 8 minutes, beneath effort, eyes closed, while the coffee brews or the bath fills, or the car sits in the parking lot before your shift. If the 8 minutes cannot be found, then hear this gently from someone who loves you. The problem was never time. The problem is that you have never yet felt permitted to spend 8 minutes on the instrument everyone else depends on. Consider this message, your permission. The description below. The pinned comment. Whenever your spirit says now, whether that is tonight or Thursday. That is everything I have to say about the door itself. And now I want to step fully back onto sacred ground, because the deepest work of this evening is still undone, and it has nothing to do with any page. There is a story I have been saving about a woman none of the record books will ever mention, and after her story, I am going to speak something directly over your life. As I promised at the beginning, do not go anywhere. The best of this was always going to be here at the end. Let me tell you about a woman I will call Ruth, because her real name belongs to her. She was in her 50s when everything folded at once. The company, where she had given 19 years, restructured her out on a Tuesday morning with a cardboard box and a handshake. Her husband had passed 2 years before. Her grown children lived far away and called on Sundays. And she sat that night in a quiet kitchen, a carrier with no witnesses left, and felt the full weight of the sealed manifest with no strength left to hide it. She told me later that the strangest part was what she did not feel. She did not feel surprised. Some part of her, she said, had always known that the life everyone else considered her real life, the job, the busy calendar, was a kind of waiting room. What broke her was not losing it. What broke her was the silence afterward. The way the days emptied out and nobody on earth seemed to notice that a person of enormous hidden capacity was now sitting alone in a kitchen in the middle of America. Here is what she did, and I want you to notice how small it is, because heaven has a documented preference for small hinges. She began setting 2 cups of tea every morning, one for herself and one across the table, poured and steaming, for the presence she could not see. And she would sit there in the early light and talk out loud, the way you would talk to the oldest friend you have. Here is what I am carrying today. Here is what I am afraid of. Here is the thing I have never told anyone. 2 cups of tea, that was her whole act of faith. No grand gesture, no fleece laid out, no bargain struck. Just the daily physical declaration that she was not, in fact, alone at that table, that the other chair was occupied whether her eyes agreed or not. She did it for months. Some mornings it felt sacred. Most mornings it felt slightly foolish, and she did it anyway, and I want you to hear that clearly. The practice worked on the mornings it felt foolish too. Witness does not require goosebumps. And then the turnaround came. And like every genuine turnaround I have ever investigated, it arrived through a side door nobody was watching. A neighbor she barely knew knocked one evening, distraught, needing someone to sit with her mother who was declining and frightened and impossible, everyone said, to sit with. Ruth went. The impossible woman took to her instantly, the way broken people had taken to Ruth her entire life, in checkout lines and waiting rooms. Remember that second sign. Within a year, Ruth was coordinating care visits for elderly people across 3 towns. Work that found her, she never once advertised. Staffed by a small team of exactly the kind of quiet, deep people you would expect her to attract, and funded, through a chain of coincidences too long to recount here, by a grant she did not apply for. The capacity she had carried unseen through 19 years of office work turned out to be the exact specification for an assignment that had been waiting, fully formed, for her availability. When I asked her once what she would say to someone still sitting in the empty kitchen stage of the story, she did not hesitate. She said, "Tell them the table was never empty. Tell them I thought I was pouring tea for a wish, and I was pouring it for a witness." And then she laughed the way people laugh when they have stopped needing anyone to believe them, and said, "And tell them to use the good cups. You are not rehearsing for a life. This is the life. Use the good cups." I tell you her story for one reason. Every mechanism we have named tonight is visible in it, moving in the wild. The sealed manifest that her company never read in 19 years. The double burn that ended not when her load lightened, but when she set the second teacup and got witnessed. The quiet commissioning, decades of hidden preparation for work she could not have imagined. The NASA weight that, at the appointed hour, lifted her instead of crushing her. It all runs, chosen one. It is not theology on paper. It is machinery, and it is running in lives right now. And notice what her story is not. It is not a story of a woman who finally got noticed by the right people. Human recognition arrived late, as a caboose, the way it usually does. The engine was a kitchen table appointment with the only reader who mattered. Get that order right in your own life, and everything downstream reorders itself. Get it backward, chase the room instead of the reader, and even applause will taste like sand. You know that taste. You have had standing ovations that left you emptier than silence. So now let us gather the tools, because tonight must not evaporate into a warm feeling by Thursday. Warm feelings are how messages like this one usually die. Instead, I am handing you a small daily toolkit, 4 practices, none longer than a few minutes, each one anchored to a mechanism you now understand from the inside. Together they take less time than a single episode of anything, and they will hold the architecture of this night in place while it becomes your new normal. The first practice, the full reading. Once a day, preferably early, bring the sealed manifest to the one who wrote it. Out loud is better. Here is what I am actually carrying. Here is how heavy it actually is. You know why this works now. Witnessed effort weighs half. This is the teacup practice, the daily extinguishing of the double burn, and it is the spine of everything else. If you only keep one tool, keep this one every day, even the foolish feeling days, especially those. The second practice, the vault entry. Keep the treasury ledger we spoke of, the notebook where the unsayable deposits go. 1 entry a day is plenty, 1 line even. Something passed between you and God, something you noticed with the deep instrument, something no dinner table would understand. Date it, tell no one. You are not journaling, you are compounding, and some future season of your assignment will be funded entirely out of that vault. Mary kept the books. Keep the books. The third practice, the sheep field. Once a day, do one small hidden thing with total excellence, as rehearsal for the throne none of your neighbors can see coming. Wash the dish, like an anointed person washes a dish. Answer the tedious message, the way a future king answers tedium. This is how you inhabit the quiet commissioning, instead of resenting it. The field is not the delay of your training. The field is the training, and private lions still count. And the fourth practice, the 8 minutes. For those who walk through that door, the daily appointment where the instrument itself gets rebuilt while you rest. Headphones, closed eyes, and for once, something carrying you. 4 tools. Reading, vault, field, and restoration. That is the whole regimen, and every piece of it fits inside the margins of the busiest life you could construct. One more piece of equipment before we turn toward the blessing, because tomorrow morning you will walk back into a world full of people who still cannot read you, and I refuse to send you out there unprepared. Nothing about the people changed tonight. Everything about you did. And a lit carrier moving among unlit rooms faces 2 specific temptations, 2 ditches on either side of the road. And I have watched too many newly awakened carriers drive straight into one of them. The first ditch is contempt. It starts small and pious. You know things now. You have names for mechanisms that the people around you are still being quietly crushed by. And some morning soon, listening to someone complain about surfaces, a thought will visit you wearing the costume of discernment. They just do not see. They could never carry what I carry. Hear me. That thought is not discernment. That is the oldest trap ever set for carriers, and it has swallowed stronger ones than either of us. Remember what you learned tonight about why they cannot read you. Not malice, clearance. A person without the key is not beneath you. They are simply not the addressee of your document, and nearly every one of them is carrying a dimmed 5-year-old of their own, banked and waiting behind the small talk that bores you. The moment you feel contempt rising, use the anchor, hand to chest, and remember that you too spent decades misreading the most important document in your own house. The second ditch is the old one, performance, and it will not announce itself. It will sneak. Some evening, a few weeks from now, in a warm room, feeling strong, you will catch yourself doing the ancient thing, translating, editing, auditioning, dangling a piece of the deep water in front of somebody to see if this one, maybe this one, might finally read you. and the old grief will lean in behind it, right on schedule, because unsealing the manifest to prove yourself is the double burn asking for its job back. You do not owe anyone a reading of you, chosen one, not anymore. Let people know you at the depth that is actually available between you, and let that be enough, because it is enough. Friendship at 3 feet deep is still friendship, still warm, still holy, as long as you are not starving, and you are not starving now. You have a standing appointment with the only reader who holds the key, every morning, at the table with the 2 cups. The rooms of your life can be shallow in peace, because your mornings are deep. And here is the gentle surprise waiting on the far side of both ditches, the thing I have watched happen over and over to carriers who stay on the road. Once you stop auditioning and stop condescending, once you simply walk in sealed and warm, people begin telling you the truth. Not because you perform depth at them, but because settled depth is the safest surface in any room, and everyone is looking for somewhere safe to put something heavy. The carrier paradox runs in reverse. When the instrument comes back on, the loneliest person in the room becomes the harbor. You will also, in time, begin to spot the others, and I want you to know what to do when it happens. There are more carriers near you than you think. The co-worker who goes quiet at exactly the moments you go quiet. The relative everyone calls too sensitive. The teenager in your family who watches rooms from the doorway with eyes that are doing arithmetic no one assigned. You know the signs now, all 5 of them, because you lived every one. And recognition is a skill that keys travel with. When you spot one, do not evangelize at them. Carriers bolt from pressure you would have. Do exactly what was done for you tonight. Name something accurately and leave the door open. You seem like someone who feels things before they announce themselves. That single sentence, said kindly and left alone, can be the first time in a human life that anyone has read even one line correctly. And you remember precisely what tonight felt like when your 5 signs were read aloud. Somebody built the doorway you walked through. Now you know how the work is done. Because this, in the end, is where your assignment was always heading. Not just surviving your equipment, but staffing the harbor. The world is full of 5-year-olds in grown bodies, sealed, dimmed, hauling double, certain they are mistakes, wearing people, and heaven keeps positioning lit carriers within arm reach of them, 1 per room. The way lamps are set along a dark road. You have been the dark stretch of road long enough. From tonight, you are placed differently, and placement, for NASA people, has never once been an accident. Before we walk into the final chamber of this evening, and I keep my oldest promise to you, there is something I want you to do while your heart is still warm, and it is not for you. Somewhere in the last 2 hours, a face crossed your mind. Do not pretend it did not. Someone you know who carries the same way you carry, who stands in full rooms 3 feet behind their own eyes, who has been the strong one for so long that nobody remembers to ask how heavy it is. You know exactly who I mean. Send this to them. Not with a paragraph of explanation. They would deflect a paragraph. Carriers always do. Send it with 1 line. This found me, and it sounded like you. That is all. You may be the only person in their entire world positioned to recognize what they carry, because you carry too, and lighthouses recognize each other, even at half power. Somewhere tonight, your 1 small forward becomes the night everything reorganized, for somebody who thought they were the only one alive like this. And while you are in the comments, here is the phrase for this hour of our journey, 4 words, and they may be the most important 4 words of the whole evening. Carried while I carry, because that is the revelation underneath every revelation tonight, is it not? You were never only the courier, you are also the cargo of someone stronger, held while you hold, lifted while you lift, carried while I carry. Write it, and let the writing be the first act of a person who finally believes it. Now, some reassurances for the road ahead, because I have walked people through nights like this before, and I know what next week tries to do to a revelation. Hear me carefully. There will be dim days again. There will be mornings when the fog rolls back in, when the room swallows you the old way, when the manifest feels like plain baggage, and the whole architecture of this night feels like something you dreamed. I am telling you now, ahead of time, so that when it happens you will not panic. Dim days are weather, they are not architecture. The building we raised tonight, the named mechanisms, the filed claim, the practices, none of it dissolves because a Tuesday feels heavy. When the weather comes, you do not rebuild the house. You simply wait inside it. Run the reading, make the vault entry, tend the field, keep the 8 minutes, and let the sky do what skies do. Feelings report the weather. Covenants report the architecture. Never take a forecast from the wrong department. And when you miss days, because you will miss days, hear this in advance too. Imperfect practice is forgiven practice. The God who watched you carry double for 30 years without complaint is not standing over your shoulder with a clipboard now, waiting to void the whole restoration because you skipped a Thursday. Grace is load-bearing. Return the next morning without ceremony, the way Ruth poured the next teacup, and continue. The covenant never left the table. One more reassurance, the deepest one, because I know the particular fear of carriers better than I know almost anything. Somewhere in you a voice is asking, but what if I do all of this and my assignment still takes years to go public? What if the courtyard ceremony is still far away? Then hear the answer of every story we open tonight. David was not less king in the sheep field than on the throne. The oil counts from the day it touches you, not from the day the crowd finds out. Your assignment is not waiting to become real. It has been real since before you could read. What changes now is only this, that you will carry it lit instead of dimmed, witnessed instead of hidden, claimed instead of mourned. And a carrier in that condition is already operational, already dangerous to the darkness, already mid-assignment, no matter what their circumstances look like from the cheap seats. The world was never going to be notified before you were. You have now been notified. If, over these next weeks, you find yourself wanting the practical door we spoke of earlier, the 8-minute door, it will still be there, quietly, in the description and the pinned comment, where what the genius switch restores is waiting to meet what tonight released. No pressure lives in that sentence. Doors do not shout, they just stay open, and yours knows your name. Now the room grows quiet, because everything that remains is sacred. The stories are told, the mechanisms are named, the tools are in your hands. What is left is the thing I promised in the very first minutes, before you knew where any of this was going. I told you that there is a name written on what you carry, a name written by a different hand, and that when you heard it, a very old question inside you would close. We are almost there, but the name cannot simply be announced. It has to be arrived at, and there is one more threshold to cross first. Because before you can receive what is about to be spoken over your life, something older has to be settled, something between you and the child you used to be, the 5-year-old with the full orchestra, the one who was still undimmed, still unswindled, still certain of things you long ago stopped being certain of. You have been carrying an unresolved conversation with that child for most of your life. Tonight, in the next few minutes, you are finally going to have it. Find somewhere you can be undisturbed. This part is not for the highway. Settle your body wherever you are. Let your shoulders come down from wherever they have been living. If your eyes want to close as I speak, let them close. And if they need to stay open, that is fine too. This works either way. I want you to breathe in slowly through your nose. Hold it gently at the top, and let it go long and unhurried through your mouth. Once more, slower. Good. Now come with me, because there is a room I need to show you, and you are the only person alive with a key to it. Picture a hallway, quiet and warmly lit. The kind of hallway that exists in no particular house, and in every house you have ever loved. At the end of it there is a plain wooden door, and you already know, the way you know things in dreams, who is behind it. Walk toward it slowly. Notice that your footsteps make no sound, because this hallway is inside you, and you have been avoiding it kindly. For years, the way we avoid rooms that hold things we cannot fix. Open the door. The room is simple and bright, late afternoon light through a window. And there, sitting on the floor in the middle of it, surrounded by some scattered ordinary treasures, a cardboard box, some drawings, a small collection of stones that once mattered enormously, is a child. 5 years old, maybe 6, and the child looks up at you, and you feel it in your chest before your mind catches up, because you know this face. You have seen it in old photographs. It is you. The child is not angry with you. Notice that first, because you expected anger, or worse, disappointment. There is none. The child looks at you the way children look at someone they have been waiting for, with plain, unguarded gladness, and pats the floor. Sit down. Yes, you, with your grown knees and your decades. Sit on the floor of your own inner room, across from the one who still has the whole orchestra playing, the one from before the swindle, before the dimming, before the long aloneness. And now say the thing you came to say. You have carried it so long that it says itself. Tell the child, I am sorry. I am sorry I believed them when they said the way you see things was too much. I am sorry I traded your spaceship for a resume. I am sorry that when the world started dimming you, I helped, because I thought fitting in was the price of being loved. And I am sorry that for all these years, when I felt you knocking under the floorboards of my life, I called you childish and kept walking. Let the child respond, and do not script it. In my experience of walking people through this room, the child usually does not want the apology to go on long. Children never do. The child mostly wants to show you something. Look, the child is holding out the box of treasures, the drawings, the stones, holding them up to you with both hands, and you understand, in the wordless way of this room, what is being said. I kept them. I kept them all. Everything they said we had to throw away, I hid it here, and I have been keeping it for you the whole time. Chosen one, receive what is happening in this image, because it is not an exercise, it is an accounting. Nothing original was lost. The wonder, the certainty, the connected sight, the fearless depth, all of it was banked, not burned. The 5-year-old you are sitting with is not a ghost of something dead. It is the custodian of something stored, and the vault has been waiting, fully funded, for the day the grown you came down the hallway to sign for it. Today is the day. Reach out, in the quiet of your chest, and take the box. And, as your hands close around it, I want you to hear the third and final word that is not mine, because this room has a third occupant, and he has been standing in the doorway the whole time. My child, both of you, I watched the day the dimming began, and I never once looked away in all the years between. What was hidden in this room was hidden in me. Nothing you were born carrying has been lost, mislaid, or reassigned. I sealed what they could not be trusted to see, and I kept what you could not yet carry, and tonight I am giving it back, because the season for it has come. Take it. It was always addressed to you. Stay in the room one more moment. Look at the child one last time, and notice what is happening, because it is the whole point of everything. The child is not separate from you anymore. The distance between you The one that opened up somewhere in a classroom decades ago is closing, the way water closes. And what walks back down the hallway when this is over is not two people, the performer and the buried original. It is one person. It was always supposed to be one person. Let it be one person. Breathe in again, slow, and out, slower. Feel the floor under you, the chair, the bed, wherever your body has been faithfully waiting while you were in the room. Wiggle your fingers. You are here, and you brought everything back with you. Some of you are feeling a warmth in the center of your chest right now, right where the old weight used to sit, and I want you to notice the exchange that has quietly taken place tonight. Something was carried out of you, something else was carried back in. That was always the trade on the table. There will be no need to strain to remember this room. It is not a visualization technique, it is an address, and you now know the way. On the dim days we spoke of, on the weather days, you can walk that hallway in 30 seconds, sit on that floor, and let the custodian remind you what was never lost. The room does not close at the end of this message. Nothing that opened tonight closes at the end of this message. That is the difference between an experience and an inheritance. You did not have an experience tonight. You came into an inheritance. Now, before the final blessing, I want to give you something to take physically into your week, because inheritances need handles, and the body remembers what the calendar forgets. This will take 3 minutes. Wherever you are, sit or stand with your spine comfortably tall, and place one hand flat over the center of your chest, over the exact spot where, at the very beginning of this message, I named the weight that sits there in full rooms. Yes, that spot. We began this journey there, and we will finish it there. Press gently, and just breathe under your own hand for a moment. For years, that place in you has been the site of the ache, the address of the heaviness, the landing zone of every crowded evening. Your body knows that spot the way a soldier knows an old wound. Tonight we are not going to pretend the spot does not exist. We are going to change what is written there, officially, the way a document changes when the right authority signs it. Now, with your hand still resting there, build this image with me, unhurried. See the manifest, the sealed document we have spoken of all night, the full inventory of everything you carry, written in a hand you now recognize. And see, coming down onto the lower corner of that document, a seal being pressed, the old way, warm wax, and a signet, except the wax is made of light, and the signet is held by the same hand that wrote every line. Watch the seal settle, spread, and set, right there under your palm. Feel what that seal is, because it is two things at once, and both of them are now yours. It is closure, the holy privacy of a document that unauthorized readers will never open, so their misreadings can never again be entered into evidence against you. And it is signature, the personal mark of the author, pressed not on a page somewhere in heaven but into the center of your chest, at the exact address where the ache used to collect its mail. The weight point has become the signing point. The wound address is now the seal address. Say this quietly, out loud if you are able, with your hand still in place. What he sealed, he signed. What he signed, he knows. What he knows, he carries. Do not rush the 3 sentences. Let each one settle into the warm space under your palm like the wax settling. What he sealed, he signed. What he signed, he knows. What he knows, he carries. That is the entire theology of your life in 12 words, and your body is learning it right now at an address your mind cannot lose. And now the anchor, the part you will carry out of tonight and into every room for the rest of your life. Notice the warmth under your hand, the simple animal warmth of palm against chest, and let that warmth be permanently associated with the seal of light. From tonight onward, this gesture is yours. Any moment, in any crowded room, in any dim Tuesday, In any hallway before any hard conversation, you can place your hand flat on that spot for 3 seconds, and the whole architecture returns. Sealed and signed, seen and carried. Test it once, right now. Take your hand away. Let it rest at your side, and notice the spot from the inside, how it holds a low warmth, like a banked coal, like a lamp behind a shade. Now place your hand back 3 seconds and feel the whole night arrive at once, the courtyard and the winepress and the vault and the room with the child, all of it filed under one touch. Good. That is not imagination. That is how the body stores covenant, and bodies are extremely faithful librarians. Your hand now knows the way home. Use the anchor especially at the thresholds, and let me name the 3 that matter most. Use it before you enter full rooms, one touch at the door, so you walk in as the sealed one instead of the auditioning one. Use it when the old accusation whispers that you are a mistake wearing a person, one touch, and let the warmth answer instead of your arguments. And use it in the moment before your daily reading, the teacup moment, one touch to open the appointment, the way you would knock gently on a door you love. I promised you at the start of tonight 3 things: that you would understand, that you would feel, and that you would have something to do. The understanding filled the first hours. The feeling found you in the room with the child, and again just now, under your own hand. And the doing is now fully assembled, the 4 practices and the anchor. But doing needs a schedule, or it dissolves into intention, and intention is where revelations go to die quietly. So let me lay out your first 7 days, one day at a time, the way a friend would leave directions on a kitchen counter. Tomorrow, day 1, do only this: the reading. 5 minutes, morning if possible, hand on chest to open, and then the honest inventory out loud. Here is what I am actually carrying. Here is how heavy it actually is. Nothing else is assigned tomorrow. One practice, done once, is a stronger foundation than 5 practices planned and abandoned. If the door of the 8 minutes is one you have chosen to walk through, tomorrow is also a beautiful day for the first listen. Eyes closed, headphones on, before the house wakes up. Day 2, keep the reading and add the vault. Buy or find the notebook. An ordinary one, nothing precious. Preciousness creates pressure. Write the first entry and let the first entry be about tonight. What was named in you during this message that no one at your dinner table would understand? 1 line is enough. Date it. You are opening the books of a treasury that will still be compounding when this week is a distant memory. And day 2 is the day the ledger begins. Day 3, keep both and add the field. Choose one hidden task, the dullest one available, and do it with the quality of an anointed person, start to finish, as rehearsal. Nobody will see it. That is the entire point. You are teaching your nervous system that unwitnessed excellence is no longer unwitnessed, because the reader reads everything now, and the sheep field is officially back in session. Notice, as you finish it, whether the task felt different. It will have felt different. Day 4, expect the dip, because I would be lying if I left it off the schedule. Day 4 is historically where the shine wears off and the old weather rolls in, where some ordinary frustration arrives, and the voice says, "See, nothing really changed." Day 4 is not a failure. Day 4 is on the syllabus. Run the practices anyway, brief and imperfect, hand on chest, 3 seconds, sealed and signed. Architecture, not weather. Getting through day 4 changes what your body believes about all the other days. One practical word about day 4, because forewarned deserves forearmed. Decide tonight, in advance, what your minimum is for a bad day, and make it laughably small. 2 sentences of the reading, 1 line in the vault, 3 seconds of the anchor. The enemy of carriers is not the occasional terrible day. It is the all all-or-nothing arithmetic that turns one missed practice into an abandoned covenant. Set the minimum now, while you are strong, and bad days lose their favorite weapon. Day 5, keep the rhythm and add the sending. Somewhere by day 5, the face that crossed your mind earlier will cross it again. That is your cue. Send this message with the one line we agreed on. This found me, and it sounded like you. Watch what it does in you to be the one who recognizes a carrier after a lifetime of waiting to be recognized. There is a strange healing in that reversal, and it cannot be gotten any other way. Provision flows through carriers who connect carriers. Day 6, take inventory gently. Sit with the vault notebook and reread the 5 entries. Notice the pattern that is already forming, because there will already be one, there always is. Something you sensed, something that lifted, some moment the anchor held when a room would have swallowed the old you. Restoration announces itself in small print first. Day 6 is when you learn to read the small print, so that you never again miss the evidence of God moving quietly through an ordinary week. And day 7, rest. And I mean truly rest. No assessment, no practice performed perfectly, no spiritual productivity. If you keep the reading, keep it lazy. 2 sentences from a pillow. The 7th day is not a break from the covenant. It is part of the covenant, the oldest part, and a carrier who cannot rest is still secretly auditioning. You are done auditioning. Rest like a child sleeps in a moving car, certain, without checking, that someone trustworthy is driving. That certainty is the finish line of the whole week. That is your week, chosen one. Reading, vault, field, weather, sending, inventory, rest. 7 days, none of them heavy, all of them load-bearing. And when the week is done, simply begin again, looser and more your own. Because the plan is scaffolding, not cage. Scaffolding comes down as the building strengthens. Somewhere around the 3rd or 4th week, you will notice you are no longer doing practices. You will notice you are living differently, and you will barely remember the seam where one became the other. And through all of it, remember the reassurances, because they bear repeating one final time before the blessing. Dim days will come, and they are weather, not architecture. Missed days will come, and imperfect practice is forgiven practice, always, without ceremony or penance. Human recognition may still be seasons away, and the oil counts from the day it touched you, not from the day the crowd finds out. Nothing about your circumstances needs to change tonight, for everything about your carrying to have already changed tonight. Now the lamps go low, and I need you fully here for these last minutes, because everything that remains happens above the waterline of ordinary words. The name I promised you in the very first breath of this message, the name written on what you carry, is about to be spoken, and it will be spoken inside a blessing, because that is the only container strong enough to hand it to you in. Whatever you are doing with your hands, let it wait. Whatever tab of your mind is already drafting tomorrow, let it close. This is the part of the evening that the whole evening was for. Honestly, this is my favorite threshold in any message I carry, and it is also the most dangerous one, because this is where people who have received much begin reaching for their coats, assuming the substance is finished and only ceremony remains. Do not make that mistake tonight, of all nights. What is coming in these final minutes is not a summary. It is a transaction. Words spoken over a life in this kind of hour have a way of setting, like the wax we pressed earlier, and what sets in the next few minutes you will carry out of here as architecture. Stay until it is sealed. Let us begin with gratitude, and let it be the unhurried kind. I want to acknowledge what actually happened here tonight, because it deserves witnessing. A person arrived at this message carrying a weight they could not name, wearing a loneliness they had mistaken for a defect, dragging decades of misread evidence behind them like chains. And that person is still here, hours later, sitting in the same chair, with the same life. And nothing about the chair has changed. And everything about the person has. I witness it. Heaven witnesses it. The 5 signs were counted, and they were yours. The manifest was named, and it was real. The claim was filed, and it was received. You did not merely listen tonight. You crossed things, thresholds that had stood unbothered in you since childhood, and crossing leaves marks that listening never leaves. Whatever else this night was, let the record show that you did not flinch at any of its doors. Carriers rarely get witnesses. Tonight, you had one. Tonight, you had 2, and I am grateful, personally, quietly, for the ones like you, the unphotographed pillars, the people holding up corners of the world that the world has never once thought to thank. It has been the honor of this entire message to sit with you in the one room where what you carry could finally be weighed accurately. Let a little of that gratitude be aimed at yourself as well. You kept carrying through years that would have flattened most people. You kept the appointment tonight. That mattered. That matters. Now comes the release, and we will do this differently than you might expect. No long list, no ceremony of many parts. Carriers do not need theatrics. They need accuracy. And so there will be one sentence, a single deep release. And I need you to prepare for it properly. Because one true sentence at the right depth outweighs 100 spoken at the surface. Put your hand on the anchor point one more time. Feel the warmth. Feel this whole night gathered under your palm. Waiting. I want you to locate, in your body, the oldest version of the weight, not the assignment. We are keeping the assignment. I mean the other thing, the parasite load, the accumulated tonnage of every misreading you ever accepted as truth, every label from readers who had no key, every year of believing that the ache in full rooms was evidence against you, every apology you made for your own depth, every night you asked, what is wrong with me? All of it, one mass. Can you feel where it sits? You have always known where it sits. Now breathe in, deep and slow, and hold it, and hear the sentence first in silence as I say it, and then release the breath and let the sentence go out with it, spoken aloud, if you possibly can. Here it is. I release the weight that was never on the manifest, every pound the swindle added, and every pound the misreadings added. And from this night, I carry only what God wrote, with the one who carries me. Breathe out, all the way out, longer than feels natural, until the lungs are truly empty, the way a hold empties when cargo that never belonged aboard finally goes over the side. And now breathe in again, easy, and notice the difference in the draw of it, how the same chest fills differently when it is hauling one load instead of 2. That sentence is yours now, permanently. On any future night when the parasite weight tries to reboard, you know its name, you know your hand, knows the spot, and you know the sentence that puts it back over the side. Do you feel how the room has changed? The inner one? Something that has hummed with strain in you since childhood has gone quiet, and the quiet may be unfamiliar enough that it feels almost like loss. It is not loss. It is what a nervous system sounds like when it is finally running its designed load. Sit in that quiet for one breath more. Some of you are lighter right now than you have been since you were 9 years old, and I want you to actually notice it, because noticing is how the body files a miracle under permanent instead of visiting. And from inside this new quiet, this accurate weight, this single carried load, you are finally standing where the declarations can be made. Not hoped, made. Because declarations, spoken from strain, are wishes, but declarations, spoken from release, are architecture, and you are about to build in front of heaven and everyone. Stand if your body will let you, or sit tall like a person whose head is being lifted, NASA, by a hand under the chin. The peak of this entire night is next, and it belongs to you. Speak these with me now, or let them be spoken over you if your voice is not ready, because both count, and heaven has never once failed to hear the silent version. These are not affirmations, chosen one. Affirmations are attempts. These are findings, the verdicts of everything uncovered tonight. Read into the record at last. Take them slowly, one at a time, and let each one set before the next is poured. I am not a mistake wearing a person. I am a carrier, chosen and equipped, and the strangeness I have apologized for all my life was the shape of the equipment, never the shape of an error. What makes me hard to read makes me impossible to replace. I am sealed, not rejected. The ones who could not read me were never my judges, and their guesses are hereby removed from evidence. I am documented in full by the hand that made me, and that documentation has never contained one disappointed line. I am anointed in the quiet. The oil on me counts from the day it touched me, not from the day the crowd finds out. My field is not my exile, it is my academy, and every hidden day of my life has been counted, weighed, and banked without a single loss. I am NASA, people. What I carry is what lifts me. The weight I begged to lose was the wing I had not yet learned to open, and I will not curse the load that heaven rated for my true strength ever again. I carry, and I am carried in the same motion by the same hand. I am undimmed at the root. What the swindle took was never lost, only banked, and I have filed my claim under the oldest promise on record. The years the locust ate are being restored to me, not because I performed well, but because the restorer keeps his word. What was stored in the child is being returned to the carrier, and I am the one. Not the next one, not the almost one, not the one whose turn may come if the worthier candidates decline. The one. Most people will never know what I carry, and that is no longer a wound to me, because the one who issued it has never once lost sight of it, or of me. I was seen before I was born. I am seen tonight, and I will be seen on the day the assignment goes public. I am the one, and from tonight I live like it. Let it all set. Do not add anything to it. Do not soften it. Do not reach for a smaller sentence to hide inside. That is who you are now on record as being, and record is exactly the right word, because there is one final act of record-keeping left, the one I have asked of you at every threshold tonight, and this last one outranks them all. Go to the comments now, or the moment this message ends, and write 4 words. He knows my name. That is the final entry, the signature line of everything declared tonight. He knows my name. Not the name on your documents, the name on your manifest, the one we are about to speak. When you type those 4 words, you are not commenting on a message. You are countersigning a covenant in a public square where thousands of other carriers will read your line and stand a little straighter in their own fields because of it. He knows my name. Go and sign. And now there is nothing left to build, nothing left to release, nothing left to claim. It is finished, the way a long day of true work is finished, not with fireworks, but with a held breath let go. So receive the sealing of it in the oldest and quietest words I know. What was spoken over you tonight is set. What was released has left. What was claimed is in motion, and so it is. And now, the name. Stay with me one final minute, because a promise was made in the very first breath of this evening, before you knew me, before you trusted any of this, and promises made at thresholds must be kept at thresholds. I told you there is a name written on what you carry, not the name people call you at work or around the table, a different name, written by a different hand, And I told you that when you heard it, a very old question inside you would close. Here it is. All night, some part of you has been bracing for the name to be a title. The carrier, the watchman, the cycle breaker, something grand and generic, a rank you would have to grow into, one more identity to haul. And if I gave you a title, you would frame it and feel warm for a week. And slowly, it would become one more thing you are not sure you are living up to. The hand that wrote on your manifest is far too precise for that mistake. Titles are for categories. What is written on the seal is not a category. What is written on what you carry, chosen one, in the handwriting of God, is your own name, your actual name, the one your mother calls you, the one you sign at the bank, the one you have heard so many thousands of times that you stopped hearing it at all. That name, written slowly, deliberately, in the script of someone who was not filling out a form but addressing a gift, on the seal of the heaviest and most precious thing you have ever held. Do you understand what that means? It means the assignment was never generic. There is no pool of interchangeable candidates from which you were approximately drawn. What you carry was composed for you the way a letter is composed for one reader. Your history folded into its design, your losses accounted for in its weight, your particular strangeness specified in its requirements. It could not be reassigned, because on the manifest of heaven it does not say carrier, it says you. And underneath your name, in the same hand, one designation, two words, the ones this entire evening has been spelling one letter at a time. The one, your name, and then the one. That is the full text of the seal. That is what the angel read off the file of a man hiding in a winepress, and what Samuel read over a boy his own father forgot to call in from the sheep. And it is what has been written over you since before the first room ever made you feel foreign. You were never applying for the position. You have been holding the appointment letter all along. So the old question, the one that has hummed under your whole life, what is wrong with me, can now close, because it was never the right question, and closed questions stop billing. The right question, the one you will live inside from tonight forward, is this: what is written on me, and am I living like a person who has read it? You have read it now. You can never again fully unread it. That is my favorite thing about nights like this one. They are irreversible. So here is where I leave you, at 3 doors, all of them open, none of them required, each one a way of walking out of this message instead of merely finishing it. The first door is the signature. 4 words in the comments: he knows my name. Sign it and mean it, and let 10,000 other carriers read your line and stand up straighter in their hidden fields, because one more of us went on record. The second door is the practical one for those whose spirit has been leaning all evening. The description below this message and the pinned comment at the top hold the link to the 8-minute door we spoke of, the daily appointment where the dimmed instrument gets rebuilt while you rest. If tonight was the map, that door is a vehicle, and it waits without pressure, guaranteed and quiet, whenever your now arrives. And the third door is the sending, the face that crossed your mind, the other carrier, the one standing 3 feet behind their own eyes, in every full room, one line. This found me, and it sounded like you. Somewhere out there tonight is a person who has never once had a single line of their manifest read correctly, and heaven has placed the key, of all places, in your hand. You know the weight of waiting, and someone else waiting. Go gently now. Go back into the rooms, the kitchens, the hallways, the long checkout lines of your ordinary life, and carry the way you were designed to carry, lit, witnessed, sealed, and signed. Set the second teacup in the morning. Write the one line in the vault. Wash the dish like a king in training. Keep the 8 minutes if you have chosen them. Touch your chest at the thresholds. And when the weather comes, And it will come. Wait inside the architecture, because the architecture is yours now, and no Tuesday on this earth has the authority to repossess it. You came to this message hours ago as a person who ached in full rooms and suspected it meant you were broken. You leave as what you have secretly been the entire time, the addressee of a sealed assignment, the holder of a signed manifest, a carrier, walking a quiet commissioning, with restored equipment on the way, and the other end of every load already held. Nothing about your circumstances changed tonight. Everything about your carrying did. That is how heaven works. It renovates from the inside and lets the circumstances find out gradually. So, let this be the sentence that walks you out, the whole night folded into one line. The title of this message finally read the way it was always meant to be read. Most people will never know what you carry. They were never supposed to. But God knows, has always known, and has never once looked away. He knows the weight, He knows the seal, He knows the assignment. And above all, chosen one, He knows your name, and beside your name, in His own handwriting, it says what it has always said. You are the one.